Hey, everybody. Sorry, we're a little bit late here. Dennis and I got our wires crossed on. I thought he was 2 hours behind. He's actually 3 hours behind. So I kind of goofed. And hopefully, I didn't make you rush out of your dinner, dude. You were already on your
No,
way home,
no, I was
hopefully.
already I was already on my way home, so everything
Ah, cool. So we're going to jump into Canada's other legendary band, not named Rush. And you could also, in a lot of ways, throw in bands like Skinny Puppy, they're pretty legendary. And obviously you got Frontline was, Canadian, but also Voivod, of course, Voivod.
yeah.
So if there's a Holy Trinity and somewhere in there, April Wine fits in too, but we're not going
Hell
to get
yeah.
into April Wine. I love April Wine, man. Love April Wine.
And don't forget
Um,
Aldo Nova.
and Aldo Nova, and we're going to talk about that at the end. Remind me, okay? Remind me to get into that at the end. So real quick on tonight, we had a thumbnail by Rick. He did a special one kind of without me even asking because he's got a lot going on and I don't want to burden him anymore. But Devin did a really cool one using the Just the Game album artwork, which was pretty badass. And also, real quick house cleaning here. We've got another deep dive tomorrow with Devin and also Tyler, who I don't think Tyler has a YouTube channel. Devin has got Maze of Torment, but I don't think Tyler has one. But he's on Instagram at AK Berg Wanderers Instagram. We're gonna do Emperor tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon. So that's kind of what the plan is right now. And Dreadful Rick popped in. There he is. What's up, Rick?
What's up, Rick?
Brian Adams, of course, yes, because it cuts like a knife. La, 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 la. Anyways, I'm gonna try not to sing tonight because this guy's range is out of my range pretty good.
Oh yeah.
It's probably out of most people's range, even Rick's these days. But but yeah, we're gonna get into Triumph here tonight. This is a band, in my opinion, that deserves a lot more attention. You never, dude. I looked it up. There are no deep dives out there. There's two ranking videos on Triumph. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, man?
Yeah.
But this band kind of was in the shadow of their big brother Rush a lot of
Yeah.
their career. Although their shows, quite frankly, their live shows rivaled Rush's live shows by far because they did a lot with pyro and smoke bombs and shit like that. We're going to talk about when we get to the fourth album, we're going to talk about my almost near miss in seeing this band in 1980. It's a good story. You won't
Oh
want to
shit.
turn away from that. I did not see them, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. I'll tell you why. I had a ticket though, so it's a good story involving the old mom. Anyways, real quick here, Triumph history began as a four-piece as far back as the late 60s, 68. Gilmore was doing all kind of stuff. Like he was super industrious, got into buying lighting rigging and sound equipment and PAs and all that stuff. But he's a drummer and he wanted to be in a rock band. And he was in a band with Fred Keeler on guitar, Mike Levine, who is the current, was always their bassist on bass, Gil on drums and vocals, and I can't read his last. Pete Narg, I think it Naz, something like that, on organ. And they had this really fucked up name. Their name was called Abernathy Shagmaster. Abernathy Shagmaster. I'm like thinking here, wait a minute, Shagmaster? It's got to be what we're thinking. It's got to be, which is pretty fucked up. But, anyways, they got a music deal. They got they were a covers band for a long time, but they signed to Attic Records and they had a check to write to cut an album, but the problem was that, and they did actually do Abernathy did this song called Hobo, backed with "Got to Get You Back in My Life." Yeah, I didn't listen to that and didn't go looking for it, to be honest with you. But in 1975, they happened to be out at a bar seeing a guy that was playing with a band called Act Three, and that guy was Rick Emmett, and they said, "This is our guy. We got to get this guy. We got to be a power trio." They showed him a check after the gig. They said, "Come on over to our table." They sat down with him. They said, "Look, man, we want you to join us in a power trio. Right here's an Attic record check for $100,000 or some number like that, and we can go and we can rip this up." So their first album was a major flop. It was just called Triumph. Rock and Roll Machine begins to make more headway. That comes out in 76. They do a cover of Rocky Mountain Way on there. It gets moderate U.S. airplay. In mid 78, they played the FM radio station promo gig, filling in for Sammy Hagar in San Antonio, Texas. And that really, really set them on their way. On 8/26/78, they headlined the Canada Jam Festival and played to 110,000 people. That's like, that sounds crazy that there would be that many people at a Canadian outdoor festival, but pretty cool. So I think that's pretty much most of my notes. We'll get into some of the shit about, Rick leaving later when we get to that album and playing us festival and stuff like that. So, but first of all, um, Dennis, how old are you again? You're 49 or 50?
Almost 49.
Oh, you're almost 49. So you're about 7 years younger than me. Where do you recall coming into to Triumph? Where do you recall as being the first time you
So
heard
again, it's
them?
gonna like a lot of these bands, it's gonna be MTV. Seeing a video. I don't remember what video it was. It could have been Magic Power or I don't recall because I think they had 2 or 3 videos out at the time. So there was different videos coming
Right,
out by the time I saw them. So the first time I actually saw them was on MTV. It wasn't like on the radio. I might have heard them on the radio as a kid. I don't know.
right.
Um, my mom didn't really listen to that kind of stuff, so I wouldn't get to hear it. It would be she would listen to like AM radio stuff. So and I don't recall ever hearing any Triumph on there. But I remember, hearing whatever song it was on there and going, God damn, this band. Same thing with Rush when I first heard Rush on MTV. Like, oh, I like this is, the kind of music I like. And, his voice and solos that Emmett was doing. I mean, that just it definitely drew me into the band. So, and those songs, whichever ones they were, the popular ones were always rising to me, even as a kid. So I knew that it was a band that I wanted to definitely check out. I mean, when I went to the record store, or, if I heard them on the radio again, or recording songs at the time, like we used to do off the radio, it would be something like that.
So it was an MTV radio combo sort of thing. You're not entirely sure which song it was. I gotta be honest with you, dude. I don't recall what it was for me either, but I think I'm
Yeah,
about 95% sure it was Lay It on the Line.
yeah, it could
Um,
have been.
because that was, that kind of is their signature song. They have a bunch of hits. I mean, Somebody's Out There was actually their biggest hit, and of course they had Magic Power and they had Allied Forces and Fight the Good Fight. A lot of hits, but they weren't like number one or number two or number three
No,
hits that were just constant. You know what I mean? But for me, I'm 99% sure it was probably 78 ish, 79 ish. And I was already in a rush by this time. I'd already picked up Hemispheres and Farewell to Kings. I
yeah,
was leaving my Kiss love behind because they came out with Love Gun, which I loved, and Rock and Roll Over and that mid period stuff, Dressed to Kill. I love that shit. But then they came out with, Love Gun was probably 77, I believe. And that was the last, for me, great Kiss album. Like they then put out Dynasty, and I was like, eh. Although I went to see him, that was my first show. I went to see Kiss on the Dynasty tour, and then Rush on the Permanent Waves tour as my second show in February of '80. I just I'm 99% sure it was Laying on the Line. And it just hooked me, dude. That cool little intro, that mystical sounding intro, and then I'm tired of playing foolish games. And then the fucking chorus is like, come on, man. That chorus is just stadium rock to the max.
definitely.
It's headbang and it's just killer. And so that was the first album I picked up, was Just a Game, which would have been 79. And then I picked up Progressions of Power, and somewhere along the line, then I probably went backwards and got Rock and Roll Machine. But I have an honest admission to make. I never really knew about the first album until way, way, way later. Like probably like towards the end of their career when I saw this, which I'm going to show is in the beginning. That's technically it's the
Yeah,
the very first album has a real terrible cover, which I don't have. It's the three of them. It's
Yeah,
just it really looks bad. It looks like it's like a still from an old 70s porn movie or something. It's just awful. But this one was the remake, and this isn't much better on the artwork front. But it's the album. It's their first album, and there's some really good tracks on here we'll talk about shortly. But yeah, man, for me it had to have been that Hold On was probably in there too, because that was a pretty big hit for them, bigger than Lay It on the Line, actually. Hold On was like the big radio song on AOR. So, and
yeah,
just so we know, we don't have, well, we got six people here. I'm actually kind of blown away by that considering we got started late. The thing about this band that's tricky is that they're heavy, but they're not a metal band. Just like Rush isn't really a metal band. They're
no,
proto, they've got a proto metal thing, proto
yeah,
hard rock, but they're not a metal band. And yet there's a lot of they're unlike a lot of dark metal or hard rock bands of that era. They're really kind of a positive band. Their lyrics are always their lyrics have kind of one of two things. They're either Rick talking about, you know, love song type stuff, or well, they're one of three lyrics. They're either cool stuff like The City or like Hold On, like upbeat sort of uplifting lyrics, or they're about chicks, and they're usually the Gill songs are about chicks and groupie type stuff, like, come on baby, let's party 24 hours a day type stuff. But yeah, so just, there's just not enough out there about this band, and that's why it's cool. I was glad you wanted to do this one with me. So do we want to jump into the albums?
yeah. Let's jump in.
All right, cool. So you do or don't have the first one?
I don't. I
You
don't.
don't have it. Okay.
Uh, like you said, I didn't even really know about that record forever. I think I
Yeah,
saw it maybe a couple of times, but it just looked so bad.
it
It,
does.
it was
It,
never
it
like a record I wanted to grab. And I think I looked at the album one time. I looked at the songs, and I'm like, what is this thing? Like I thought it was just like it wasn't even like a real record at the time. But
Yeah, I mean, you
uh,
got shit on here like Be My Lover, 24 Hours a Day, Street Fighter Reprise, What's Another Day of Rock and Roll. You know, just not a great title. Let Me Get Next to You. But then you got some killers on here that we'll talk about. But this is the first album.
yep,
They retitled it and reissued it, I believe, in 1980 or 81 with this in the beginning. I didn't note that, so I could be wrong on that. And I don't want to, but this, what happened is that when Triumph got signed to Attic and then got moved to RCA, and they started to have flagging interest in pushing their albums and careers, they ended up buying out they actually own their own catalog, which that not many artists can say that. So right
yeah,
there is their thing. It's called TML Entertainment. Triumph something limited, I believe. I'm not sure what the M stands for. But they ended up doing this. I mean, basically the album cover kind of looks like that, only they're cut off at the waist and whatnot. And it's just a terrible album cover all around. Sadly, Triumph didn't go crazy on their art budget back in the day, with the exception of one or two albums. But so yeah, let's get into this album, dude. It's not as bad as it looks.
no,
There's a couple of bangers on here. And keep in mind, this came out 10/13/1976. It was recorded at Phase One Studios in Ontario on Attic Records, which was a division, like an imprint of RCA Records. Um, and also, let's see, looks like Doug Hill was the producer along with Mike Levine. Mike Levine being the bass player. Mike was always involved in the production pretty much from the beginning, and then produced a lot of these albums later. So let's talk about this one. Let's see. What are your takeaways on this album? Like, what songs do you kind of dig, and you
so
know
I actually like this album a lot. Honestly, I think it's a definitely a totally different Triumph album than
most of
um,
the others?
right.
Yeah,
This definitely has more leanings towards it's more of a grittier hard rock, kind of almost like a kind of a raunchy rock and roll record. I guess.
Kind of a Bad Company record in a
Yeah,
weird
yeah.
way, isn't
It's
it?
just,
Sort of.
but I mean I mean the first couple songs, those are cool rockers, but then you get "Don't Take My Life" is, I think
That's a
that's a
good
really good
song.
one, man.
Good
That's a
song.
really good one. And then after that, you fucking what's that one? Street Fighter. Man, that's a jam right there.
I like
Uh,
Street Fighter. I like the second part of it, the acoustic part, a little
yeah,
better. It's a little, and I think one thing we need to talk about real quick before we go further is this band basically has two lead singers. It's got on Gilmore on more what I'd call the rockers, the hard rockers, and it's got
yep.
Rick on the more ballady, more epic stuff. Which there's a real prog song on here we're going to talk about in a minute.
And then "Let Me Get Next to You." I mean, even the vocal. I mean, even the title right there. I definitely hear some AC/DC vibes on that one.
Oh, big fucking time, man,
Yeah,
big time.
and of course you get "Blinding." What's that? "Moonchild," "Blinding Light."
Blinding Light Show, man. Come on,
Dude,
dude,
that
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 song
that's worth it
rules.
just for the record, right?
It
That's
is.
those. I mean, even if you listen, even the beginning of that song, and it's weird that it's "Moonchild" because it sounds like almost like an Iron Maiden riff at the beginning of
It
that song.
it does. You're right, man.
I
That's
was like,
true.
"This sounds like fucking early Maiden on this jam," and then it like switches into like almost like a Pink Floyd type of vibe to it, which
Yep,
I just love that song. That song is so good. If you listen to any song on this record, I recommend
that's
those
the
songs.
one.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this song sets the table for songs like "Just a Game,"
Yeah.
for obviously the big track on the next album, "The City." Very influenced by this.
Yeah.
Rick's trying to get his prog on with this. This is a
Yeah.
prog track, but it's a rocking track. Like you said, it's got almost like an Iron Maiden vibe, maybe a little bit of a Judas Priest. What's the song I'm thinking of? Fuck, what's the da 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 Island of Domination?
Yeah, okay.
It's got a little bit of that vibe to it, it's but it's very proggy, with the blinding light show.
Yep.
And just so good. And like you said, this is the track on here. Easy Life is cool. It's got a cool riff to it.
Yeah.
It's very Thin Lizzy, that song to me has a very Thin Lizzy vibe to it. Um, let's see, what else do I have here, notes wise? 24 hours a day. I love the intro to that, man. It's such a very much a Rick Emmett intro. He sings the mellow part, and then Gil comes in and kind of attacks the heavier metal
Yeah.
or hard rock part.
Yeah.
Don't Take My Life. That to me is the next best track on this album.
Yeah. It's
It's
a good
just a
song.
killer. It's got a little bit of a fight the good fight vibe in it. If you listen to it, it's got a little bit of that reggae sort of vibe to it.
It does.
Um,
That's what I like about that song. It's so like that riff on that one is just like
well,
it's a rocker on it, but it's
here
like
you
a
go. Here you go. It's it to me. Tell me if you agree with this. It's got Led Zeppelin's Jamaica mixed with All Along the Watchtower.
yeah, I could see that.
It's All
I
Along
did.
the Watchtower.
I even wrote down like Led Zeppelin. I wrote down Hendrix on here. I wrote
Yeah,
down what else did I write down? Oh, I wrote down that one almost has not that one, but the first song to me, 24 Hours a Day, has an old like a kissed kind of feel to it.
absolutely, dude. 100%. So, for me, this is let me look here. A lot of potential on this album. You hear
Yeah.
that this band is not, they have a lot of songwriting potential. Yeah, there's a couple of, like you said, Street Fighter is really good. Those combos really good. Let Me Get Next to You, and it's kind of weak. That's a barroom boogie song, which I'm not into. And also, what is it? Be My Lover. It's got some rippy riffs in it, but it kind of has that the vocals are a little hot on it. Like Gil's like overselling that song a little bit for me. But in all these songs, Dennis, right away, there's one really big thing that stands out. Rick Emmett is a hell of a guitar player, man.
Oh yeah.
And this guy is no fucking slouch. He is no barroom dude. This guy's special.
Yeah.
Um, Would I say that this is absolutely a necessary buy? Well, if you're gonna dig into the catalog, yes. But maybe it's more for completists. But then again, it is their first album, so it kind of gives you a roadmap to where they're going. You know what I mean? Um, so there you go, man. Fight the good fight. Yeah, dude, absolutely. Um, hey, good to see you, um, Logan. I was gonna call you Ryan again for fuck's sake. There's something not right up here. Anyways, so yeah, I give this, believe it or not, man, I give this a 7 out of 10. I think it's that decent. It's, and it's kind of shocking because it's probably the one I would reach for the least until we get to some of those later albums, but it's still well worth it, man. It's well worth it. Now, you don't have Rock and Roll Machine, and I don't have it
Now,
either, right?
but for my ranking on that one,
Oh yeah, sorry.
I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. I like it a little bit more.
Nice.
I really
I
like
like
that
that.
album. I think it flows really well. I just maybe because I haven't heard it as much as the other one, so it's fresher to me, maybe.
Probably a little of that, yeah.
And it just sounds like a band, basically a new band that's excited and ready to write music. So that's why I really like that record. It has a lot of energy to it. It doesn't seem like a band that knows where it wants to be yet, but it's
Just yet.
willing to, yeah, it's willing to take chances and to do things that aren't radio friendly on
Well,
that show.
man, I mean, shit, dude. The fucking Blinding Light show is almost 9 minutes long.
Yeah,
Now, granted, keep in mind the late 70s was an era where, you had 21-minute songs for 2112. You had, it wasn't an era where you had to have a pop song fit into a box because record
right.
companies invested in you long term as opposed to just one album wonder type stuff. But yeah, it's got a lot of promise and it gets better. It gets much better as we move along.
Yep.
Um, so you do not, or I still didn't, you don't have
No,
Rock and Roll
that's the one
Machine.
I don't
Okay.
have. I
All
don't
right.
have the first two, and then after these, I got them.
Can you show a picture on your phone or did you pull
Yeah,
one up? Just
let's.
show a picture. Now I had this album. I had it in LP. I had the Attic Silver edition. I bought it in 1979 or 1980. 70, maybe 78, somewhere in that range. The problem is somewhere along the line, yeah, let me
I don't
pull
know
you
if
up
you can
here.
see that, but
Um, it's hard to see the
it
interior, right? The
is.
faces. Yeah, there it is. So that's their faces with like these like
It's like
electrodes hooked to their head.
just look
Kind of
it
has
up on.
that. Yeah, kind of has that strange days thing going on, like the weird things stuck to their head. This
Yeah,
came out on November 3rd, 1977 on Attic Records. Phase One Studios again. Doug Hill and Mike Levine producing. Um, so this is the album that kind of gets them noticed because mainly for one reason. They do a cover of Rocky Mountain Way, Joe Walsh's song, and they kind of rock it up their way. It's not very different at all. Gil does the vocals on it. He does a great job on it. But this song was old enough at that point that it kind of resurrected that song, and they got a fair amount of airplay in the US out of that. And this is about the time that they ended up going down to San Antonio and filling in for Sammy Hagar on this concert thing that had, believe it or not, had the Runaways on it and Y&T. You know Y&T, right? Yesterday and Today. Dave
yeah.
Mennikitty. Great
It's my
fucking
next deep
band.
dive. No, just
Oh,
kidding.
dude. Great fucking band, dude. Those first four albums. Oh, God,
Yep,
I love that fucking band. Black
me too.
Tiger.
Yep.
Oh, we got to talk about that. Anyways,
All right. Yeah,
um,
definitely.
fucking love that band. Rock and Roll Machine. Okay, lots to take in here. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't have it any longer, and I never replaced it on CD. Weirdly, um, and so the next batch we have quite a few of the albums. Like, what stands out on this one for you overall?
Like, so this one, I did. I'm not a big fan of this record for some reason. I don't know what it is about it. It's definitely more in line with the first album, but I don't know. I mean, it does have some good songs on it. Bring It Home almost sounds like
Ah,
it's starting to sound like classic Triumph on that one.
yes,
Um,
little bit of Rush in there.
Yeah,
Um,
New York City Streets 2. That has kind of a bluesy Van Halen type of sound to it. I like that song.
very jazzy, has some
Yep.
jazzy stuff. Great solos on that section,
I
man.
mean, for me, it's all about the city on this record.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
Oh my god.
another
That
9-minute epic.
dude, that fucking song just does it
Yeah,
rule or does it rule? Does
it
it rule?
rules. Yeah, I mean, this is again like you just need this record just for this song. I mean, the other
Yep.
songs are great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a bad album.
They're
Um,
solid, but they're not in the same realm as this one.
right. So, but yeah, the city just such a badass song, man. I love that song. Um, it's got some killer Spanish guitar type stuff in it. Fucking
Dude, that's where Rick started his whole
Emmett
flamenco
jams
thing,
out,
man.
dude. Emmett jams out on that song.
Okay, here you go. It has a 3+ minute intro of all guitar. How
Fuck
can
yeah.
you not fucking masturbate to that, man? That's awesome. um, yeah, for me, Bring It On Home, very standout track, man. Gil's
Yeah,
vocals on that, killer.
yeah, it's a cool song.
And like you said, that kind of begins to, what do I have written down here? Cool. Oh my god, I was running out of ink with the first pen I started taking my Anyways, good song, great song actually. Probably my second favorite one. Takes Time is really good. The opener that has
Hmm.
a nice kind of Led Zeppelin-y feel to it. Let's see. What else do I have? Little Texas Shaker, and not a big fan, but it's definitely a Heartbreaker ripoff. It rips off the opening of Heartbreaker. Down, 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 down. New York City Streets, the mellow intro. Rick's got some great guitar playing on that whole section, or the both of those parts one and part two. The part two is quite a bit more proggy. It's got the more prog stuff going on. And then, man, you get to the city. Good lord, man.
Yeah, that's it,
Dude,
man.
dude, it just that song fucking destroys everything else on this album. And I like Rock and Roll Machine too. It's a little repetitive, but it's a great song with a lot of killer Rick riffs on it. But man, let's see, what do I got here? Rick's. I think The City was kind of Rick's attempt to write 2112. It's
Mm,
half the length, but it's got that vibe to it. Like there's the sections of it that it's like the sections are, let's see. You got The City, you got War March, which is like the dun 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 dun. And then you got the El Duende and Agonizante for Agony, and then Minstrel's Lament. And the Minstrel's Lament is the part where he does most of the singing, man. And it's like, you got now there's no more singing, just a ringing in my ears. And the city is calling with all its glory. It's the greatest of my fears. I can't go high like him. But man, the fucking lyrics on this are great, dude. Like,
yeah,
I have learned to save my smile and use it like a knife. We're all learned to trust and profit and the value of profit over life. I've watched the skyline grow in defiance of the sun. We let it take us and we let it break us. Now um, the damage has been done. Man, the lyrics on it are fucking killer, man.
yeah.
Love
Great,
this song.
great
Love
song.
this song.
Such a
Um,
such a great like, and that's why people don't know Triumph because they haven't heard these kinds of songs.
they don't
And
know those deep cuts, dude. They
right,
know the people that know Triumph kind of know the Somebody's Out There and the Magic Powers, and those are great songs. They're
those are
great
good
pop
songs.
songs. But man, it's
Yeah.
the deep cuts on the albums that blow away a lot of the stuff that made
Mhm.
it on radio, man. And this one at over 9 minutes was never going to be on radio, and you couldn't
No,
edit it. You couldn't edit it. But I'm telling you right now, like you said, you nailed it, Dennis. On these last two albums, they are worth owning for the epic tracks, "Blinding Light Show" and "Moonchild" and "The City." They're just worth owning for those two tracks alone.
yep.
But there's other good songs on here. So
Yeah, definitely. I'm not. Yeah, I mean, it's a worthwhile purchase for the rest of the songs as well, not just that song. But it's
absolutely,
such a great song. It just over. That's the thing when you have
it
a song like that,
overshadows.
it overshadows the other
Yep.
songs because there's no way they can match. Stand up to that track.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right. So on that one, I'm gonna give that a. You say you don't like it. I like that. That's an 8 out of 10 for me, Dennis. It's close.
Okay.
It's close. I say the two tracks I don't like are Little Texas Shaker, and I'm not a huge fan of the cover, man.
Hmm.
When you do a cover and you play it straight up like that, it's uninteresting to me right away.
Yeah.
So
For me, it's a six.
I see that.
Yeah. It's not that it's a bad. I just yeah. There's just songs on it that are just. I mean, they're just skippable in my opinion. I like them. Like you said, Little Texas Shaker, I could do without. Rocky Mountain Way. I like Rock and Roll Machine. I think that's a pretty good song, actually.
Which one?
Rock and Roll Machine.
Oh, I like that tune. Rock
Yeah,
and roll machine, da na 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 na, faster than you ever seen, da na 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 na. It's got great riffs in it, and
yeah,
Rick goes off for like 3 minutes in the song, just goes
yeah,
off.
yeah.
Um,
So I mean, it's a good album, but overall, I think it's a little less inspiring than the first one. Some of the songs, and then you have some great songs on it. So for me, it's a 6 out of 10.
but that's one that I don't have that I need to get again because I had it and on the LP, on the silver LP, which by
Yeah.
the way, I looked up on Discogs and they're going for like $4. They must have mass produced those
Oh
like
yeah.
crazy.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can. I mean, I'm going. I'm gonna try to go if the weather's good to like a punk rock flea market tomorrow. I'm supposed to have some record vendors, so I'll probably go check it out and check out the record store. I see if I can find these first two Triumphs.
Oh, dude, you can probably find them for 3, 4, 5 bucks
Yeah, I mean
tops.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. All right, so we're up to just the game, and this
Yes.
would have been the first album I got, and this is an OG Attic copy right here. You can see down there in the corner. And I will tell you, and Dennis, if you remember, I did a response video to one you did way back when, and this is one of the albums I showed. And the funny part about the story is they did this board game in the inside. But
Yeah.
the funny part about this is my ex-wife's album. She left it in my collection of shit, and guess what? She ain't getting it back. You can see right here, Carrie Ramsey. I just doxed her right there, didn't I? That's her. That was her. Not yeah. So you can see the RCA imprint, although it was on Attic Records. I think you can see that right. Where is it?
Yeah.
Is it on there somewhere? Yeah, down here, Attic Records. So,
Yep.
this one's pretty beat. I do have this on CD, and it is signed by the one and only Rick Emmett. And I'll tell you a little story about that in a minute. But unfortunately, I could not find it. It was not with all my other triumphs. I must have pulled it out. I know I posted it on my Instagram, so I probably pulled it out separately. I couldn't find it. So, all right. So this is my first album by them, and hit me with your best shot on. Oh, it came out 11079. It went to number 38 on Billboard. It was out on RCA Attic RCA Records. It was recorded at Sound Interchange Studios, and it was Mike Levine producing. That I can see. I don't see any. I think the band started self-producing at this point. And this is pretty cool. This album is also available on stereo 8 and cassette. That's what it says down here in the bottom with the registered trademark. Let me see if it shows cover art design cover triumph. Hold on. Just trying to see. Okay, produced by Mike Levine and Triumph for Attic Records, recording and remix engineer Mike Jones. Who knows who these guys are?
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So hit me with your thoughts on this one because this sounds pretty special for me.
Yeah. So I actually have the
Oh
OG,
yeah, sweet.
same one on Attic with
Fuck yeah,
the
dude.
with the game inside.
That's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. And
Um.
that was made up by Rick. Rick created that internal stuff, and Mike also made it so you couldn't win the game because being in the recording industry, you don't win. The label always wins. That was his take on it.
I mean, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong, but let's be honest with ourselves. Those guys worked hard, but they made good money, man. I've seen
Oh
their
yeah.
houses. I watched the documentary today. I rented it from Prime. It's well worth grabbing, by the way.
Which what documentary?
It's called Rock and Roll Machine. That
Oh
Banger
really?
film Banger did
Oh shit. They
Banger
did a
did.
Triumph one.
It's on, yeah, it's on Prime, dude. Came out
Oh
last
shit.
year. You got to
Okay.
watch it. Well worth seeing. Rick has a very nice house, a very
Oh, okay.
nice house. So
Dude, do you even know how much money they made at the US Festival?
not a lot, right?
No, they made a shit ton.
Oh, did they? Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna get to that. We'll talk about the US Festival because that's a really pivotal thing. Because they were headlining it, I believe, right?
They headlined it Heavy Metal Day.
And you know who put that on, right? The US Festival,
Yeah. Well,
Wozniak.
yep. Well,
What?
yeah, and he paid
And
everybody fucking tons of fucking they lost like
okay,
$12 million in that concert.
okay, yeah, man, yeah, for sure. Um, I didn't know that they made a lot of money, but it makes sense because
Yeah.
Apple, that was the beginning of Apple back then, and there was probably a lot of corporate sponsorship in that thing. But dude, let's wait to get to that. Let's get to that
All
when
right.
we get
All right.
to close to that.
So yeah, great fucking record. I mean, you got Moving On, which is a killer opening track. I like that
Hmm.
track. And then you have the classic Lay It on the Line. I mean, what more could be said?
Oh God.
Um the next one, Young Enough to Cry, not very I'm not big on that song. American Girls is okay. It's kind of a weird track. The chorus is kind of weird on that one. But it's okay.
But man, the guitar at the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, the guitar at the beginning is wicked. Rick's doing all this fucking slide
Yeah.
stuff with the
That's
delay, and it's so good. And the
That's what I
solo,
mean. It's so
it's,
weird because it has like these weird like guitar parts and like progressive parts, and then has these like the chorus is kind of just off to me. I don't know.
well, you know
Um,
what? I maybe you agree. It's a song that could have and should have been like a really cool prog epic, but the lyrics are dumb.
yeah, that's probably what it is because they didn't
It's
know
the
what to
lyrics
write.
don't fit. It doesn't fit the
No,
music. But
I
the
think you
song's a
hit it on the
ripper.
head. The lyrics just don't mix in with the way the song's going. So,
But the
um,
fucking song's a ripper though. The
yeah.
music is killer. Yeah.
And then Just a Game, another man,
Oh,
love that song. Love that song.
dude, I'm gonna lay it out there right now. That is my favorite, favorite Triumph song above
Okay,
every other song. It just
I can see
blows
that.
everything away for me. It just Rick, why it's not 15 minutes and it's only 6, but it
Yeah.
is the best 6 minutes of Triumph music ever. And that's taking into killer tracks like fucking Fight the Good Fight and
Mhm.
Ordinary Man and fucking Never Surrender. There are that Just a Game is the song for me, dude. It is the
Yeah.
song.
And yeah, so I love that song. And then Hold On,
Oh,
again,
another monster track.
another great track. The songwriting on that is fucking
Unreal.
epic. And it definitely I can definitely hear some Rush vibes in Hold On for sure.
For sure.
Um, yeah. And then what's the last one? The Suitcase Blues?
Suitcase Blues.
Yeah,
Killer
which is
track.
like total killer blues track.
Oh, it's bluesy jazzy. It's super
It
jazzy. He
is.
uses all
It's so
those.
different than the rest of the record. It's just like, wait, what? What's playing right
Well,
now?
the weird thing about that, and I'm going to make this point now because I'm going to really make it on Allied forces.
Okay.
They had a weird habit of not putting that ball kicker track at the end. Like to me,
Yeah, right?
just the game should have been on the end of this album.
Yeah,
Or hold on, one of those two, right?
right.
Or you could even almost go lay it on the line, but I would go with just the game being the
Yeah,
epic closer. But
that
then
would
they
have been
go with
perfect.
Suitcase, and I love Suitcase. I love that song. It's so incredible. And it showcases Rick's incredible ability to play all kind of styles of stuff. He's not just a metal guy or a hard rock guy. He can do jazz, he can do it all, blues. But it's kind of a weird anticlimactic way to finish the album out in a strange way.
I mean,
Um,
I could see that too, but in one way I could see it as like almost like a we wanted to put this track on the album, but it's not really in line with the rest of the stuff, so we're just gonna put it at the end. I could see maybe the record company throwing it there, like this doesn't really fit in with the flow of the album,
right.
so we want to put it at the end, which makes sense. At least they let him put it on the record. So
I was gonna say the fact that it made it on the record was
yeah,
shocking enough. Yeah.
yeah. So
Logan says I actually really like it. Dude, don't get me wrong. Don't get it
no, I
twisted.
like
I
it.
love that song. Love that song. Um,
And you know, you have a million fucking execs going through these Oh, probably. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm not a record exec, but I'm sure there was somebody going through making sure that the track listing flowed to, sell the record.
To
So they
to some extent, Dennis, from what I got from the documentary today, they were left alone for quite a while until it got
Mhm.
to Thunder 7. Then the record label started
Well,
getting really, you
and
know.
we'll get to that because I could
Well, and here's the other reason. They had a million seller with Allied Forces and they wanted
right.
way more. They got greedy. The record label got greedy. Let me run
Well,
through
I
these
mean, you
songs.
have to think about the time that came out and the time this album came out too. It's a
Different times, whole
whole
different ball
different
game.
time. Yep,
Very, very good point because radio was more about playing. They would play deep cuts in the
yep,
70s. They would play songs that weren't hits. They would play what they wanted. DJs back then could play what they wanted. By the time you get to the late 80s, man, it's all corporate and it's all regimented. And the people that are paying a lot are getting their songs on the radio and those that aren't are not. For me, man, moving on is a great Gil vocal. Um, the slightly less I said slightly less dumb lyrics on this one because some of Gil's songs have the dumb lyrics.
yeah,
Um, lay it on the line, man. The
yeah.
to
There you go.
me, to me, as much as I love Just a Game, this is the Triumph song right here. It's the song that if you walked out and you said, "Hey, man, do you know this song?" I would say maybe if you ran into a bunch of old heads, they'd be like, "Fuck yeah, dude, that's Triumph."
Yeah,
Maybe if you ran into some young kids like younger kids like my kid and like Logan, in their late 20s, they'd be like, yeah, I really recognize it. But I'm not entirely sure. And you said Triumph. Oh yeah, I've heard of Triumph. But sadly, most kids have no fucking clue who this band would be, which is really wrong, man. It sucks,
yeah,
you know. But lay it on the line. The fucking song, those amazing harmonies, Rick's fucking chromatic rundown from A to G to F. Don't waste my time. So fucking good, man. The solo on that song is fucking badass
yeah.
too. It slays. Young Enough to Cry. I kind of like this one. It's probably the best of his blues ballads. We talked about American Girl. I love the beginning of it. I like the song. It's just the lyrics don't really fit it. Best song ever by Triumph. Just a Game, man. You get into that part where he's going. The part in the song where he goes like the moth, how's it say? Too near the flames, who learned his truth too late. I can't get near those highs. We're all, what's it say here? We're all too deep into the game. It is the master of our fate. And then he goes into the poets and the pipers have got their motives, and you got yours, no doubt. And so the game continues. It's what it's all about. And he holds that note, and then that solo comes in that. Oh, that solo is just so fucking killer, man. I love that song as if you didn't know. And then you got Fantasy Serenade, which kind of starts the trend of Rick doing a little guitar
Yeah,
piece on every album, all the way up, I believe, till the end, to his last album, Surveillance. He does an interlude.
yeah,
Some are better than others. This one's good. It's not my favorite one. I like two others way better. Hold On, man. The other epic proggy killer
yeah,
track.
man.
This was the biggest song initially off the album. Um, this probably isn't my favorite overall album, but it's got my three favorite songs on it without question. My three favorite songs: Hold On, Just a Game, and fucking Lay It on the Line. I give this album a 9 out of 10.
Wow, you went up there
Yep, I love it. I love it.
again. I
Uh,
love a lot of songs on this record. That's a good record.
Suitcase Blues. I forgot to mention. We already talked about killer
Yeah,
track. Okay.
I'm gonna go 8 out of 10 on this one.
I see that. I see that. I probably bounced a little just because of those three songs alone.
Yeah,
They
I
just
mean, this is when to me, this is when Triumph started to become Triumph. Like,
agree
this
fully.
is they're getting their sound is on this record, so this is when they start to morph into, like, having their sound, if that makes sense.
Yep. I dude, that's an amazing point. I agree with it. They had moments of it on the other two albums,
Yeah.
but it's kind of coalesces on this album, and it gives you the full sound of what they are. And again, if you say, well, should I buy this album? Yes, you should. But there's 3 tracks on this album that are absolutely indispensable in their catalog, and they're that fucking good. You'll love the other songs. You'll be like, yeah, they're pretty good. It's a solid
Yeah.
album. But those are the 3 you're always going to go boom, boom, boom for.
And those 3 are like just amazing. Those are classic
Knockouts,
Phantom songs. That's the
classic.
yeah.
All right, man. So next up, we've got Progressions of Power. Not a very cool album cover, and I got to be honest with you, Rick looks a little chubby there, doesn't he? Rick, what was going on? Were you eating way too much sweets at that point in time? I love you, dude. You're the best. You're one of my top 3 favorite guitarists, so don't get pissed at me if you see this. Progressions of Power comes out March 25th, 1980. Phase 1 recording facility produced by Mike Levine out on Attic and RCA. All right, my story on this one, real quick.
All right, here we go.
Triumph would have been my 3rd band I ever would have saw in May. I think it was May 25th, 1980, at the Summit in Houston, Texas. UFO was opening the new version without. I don't think Schenkel was with them. I think it was the Paul Raymond, Paul Chapman era, which is still very good for UFO. Great, they were opening, right. All right, so a couple days, maybe 3 days before the show, I'm down talking to these chicks that were a little bit older than me. They're about 3 or 4 years older than me, right? We're talking down at the end of the street, Dennis. I'm not lying. This is in Houston, Texas. Brand new neighborhood. There's probably 8 or 10 houses between where my mom is in the cul-de-sac. We were in the cul-de-sac at the end house, and me. I'm 8 or 9 houses up the street. So we're talking fucking at least 1,000 feet, at least a quarter of a mile, right? She's yelling for me to come down, and I'm talking to these chicks, and I'm trying to be BMOC, big man on campus here. And I'm thinking maybe I got a shot at. I'm 1980. I am 13 or 14. I'm 14. These girls are like 18. They're like seniors, and I'm like a freshman, right? So I had zero shot. That's the reality of it. But I wanted to be cool, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to see Triumph UFO, and they're like, yeah, and I'm like, my mom's yelling for me, and I'm like, God, she's so fucking annoying. And I'm like, fuck you, man, to my mom. But I said it like I under my breath. But I have a big mouth, in case you didn't notice. And she comes fucking hauling ass down at me, grabs me by the hair, because I had pretty long hair back then. Drags me, I'm totally fucking mortified in front of these girls, right? Drags me up there and says, guess what? You're not going to see Triumph now. I'm
Oh,
selling your ticket. She fucking grounded me and I couldn't go.
oh man.
But my buddy Carlos that went, it was Carlos and another dude, I think his name was Trent or Trey. They got me a shirt, a Progressions of Power shirt, which unfortunately I don't know whatever happened to. I wore it out probably, but so Progressions of Power 1980. What do you got to say on this one?
All right. I actually have the OG on this one.
Ooh, nice. I'll blow you up here.
There
Sweet.
we go.
Another terrible album cover though.
Right?
I mean, pretty
Is this
lame.
a
I like.
shirt you had?
Yeah, it was basically their 3 faces, but it was like much bigger. And then
Yeah.
it was on a blue shirt, which is
It's
very
still on
unusual
there.
for back then.
Oh, it's
Yeah, it
on
was
blue.
like a dark blue. It was not like a black shirt. Yeah, it was really cool. I had
So
it for a couple years. I don't know
there's
what happened to it. Oh,
the
nice.
inside,
See, I like that better. That would have been a much better cover right there.
right?
Yeah,
And just lyrics on the back.
lyrics, right?
Yeah. This is another weird record for me. Felt like they kind of regressed
I
and
agree, 100%.
back to more of the older rock and roll machine type of style.
Yep.
Um, and I kind of heard something about like I think um, Gil Moore wanted to do more of a he wanted to do more of a hard rock, or he wanted to like take it back in a different way. So I'm not sure about that, but this is everything I read was like Rick Emmett. He wanted to like make more of a hard rock album like his first one. I mean, not Rick Emmett, but he wanted to take away kind of like the more ballady stuff. I Live for the Weekend's kind of a killer bluesy jam. Has some kind of Van Halen stuff to it, but the solo in that song is fucking killer, man. Love the solo on that. I Can't Survive is a pretty cheesy track. Not one of my favorites. And then In the Night, that's probably my favorite song on here. 9 minute, fucking just another, sorry, not nine, 6 minute epic, kind of ballady, but yeah, that's a good song. And then Tear the Roof Off is killer upbeat, kind of rocker. And then Hard Road. What do you know about Hard Road? You there, Jeff?
Yeah, hang on one sec. You hear me?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. What do I know about it as far as like any details on the song itself?
So I was kind of looking up when I look at Hard Road, it's actually written by a lot of the guys in Black Sabbath and has like Ozzy on there and Iommi. I
Oh,
thought it was a
what?
cover. Yeah, I thought it was a cover, and then because Black Sabbath has a song called Hard Road, the Hard Road on.
Well, I'm looking at it here, and it says it was written by Gilmore, Mike Levine, and Rick Emmett. So I'm not sure what you
Yeah,
saw and where you saw it.
so check it out. Look it up on Wikipedia. I think.
Let me look here. I'm looking to see if there's any info on the. I don't see anything here about Ozzy or Iommi at all.
Let me look it up because I saw
Okay.
that and I was like, that makes what? And then I kind of was trying to look into it and I didn't really find anything on it.
Yeah, I don't, man, dude. You might have gotten a weird bit of info. I don't see them being tied in with that at all.
I know, either did I, but hold on, let me look it up. Let's see, Triumph.
By the way, saying hi to Kevin, Rick, Logan. Who else we got in here? Those are the three guys commenting. We do have 8 people watching, so I'm not
Oh,
sure
cool.
who else is in there. And considering we were starting late, and also we're going up against Ken's Death Metal Crip, he decided to come out and stream it. I thought he didn't like streaming, but apparently he does tonight. So he's out with the Worm guy and Mark Riddick and one of his
It's got the
buddies.
worm guy on it.
The Worm guy, what's his name? Phantom Slaughter.
Yeah.
Gotta say, man, I like that dude's music though. I'm not arguing that at all. It's great shit.
I haven't heard any I mean, he did send me the first couple albums though. So that was cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think
So did you
I
find did you find that thing on Hardwood?
hold on, I'm looking right now. Yeah,
Because
it
I
was
don't see anything in there about it at all. Yeah, Phantom Slaughter. I'm sorry, I called him the Worm guy, but he is the Worm guy. I mean, he's the guy behind it, isn't he?
yeah,
I gotta say, man, both this album and the last album and the one before it are fucking great. I love them.
yep,
Epic doom, epic funeral doom, with a little bit of black gaze mixed in and some killer guitar solos. I don't know where he got that guitar player, but that guy's fucking killer guitarist. Yeah, so I don't
I
know,
don't know.
man.
I don't know where I saw it, but
Yeah, I don't
I'll
know that
find it.
one. Yeah, if
I
you
for
do, send
sure
it to
saw it
me.
somewhere. I don't remember what website it was on, uh, but it had their names attached to it, and I was like, "What?" And maybe they just got confused because they have
I
the song by the same title, so maybe it
Yeah,
got mixed up.
I think somebody goofed that on that website because that doesn't
I
make
do
any
too, because I was
sense.
like, "There's no way."
No, Sabbath
That's why
and
I was like, "What
Triumph.
do you know about that? Do you know something I don't know? Because that doesn't
No,
make sense."
Sabbath and Triumph have very little in common at all. So I'm
Well, I
with
thought it
you.
might have been one of their songs they let Triumph use or something back then,
I-
but
I'm with you, man. I This is was a step back for me.
yeah,
I have it at 6.5 out of 10, and that's mainly for 4 songs. I Live for the Weekend's a jam. You know,
yeah,
making my way to the job each day. Good song, great vocal, very bar band, but very up. This is speed Triumph right here. This is speed
yeah,
metal Triumph. In the night's a killer track. That's the big one on here for me.
yeah,
Really, really killer tune. Classical intro. Great vocals by Rick. That's the only answer. Yeah, great, great fucking song. Nature's Child. I like the guitar work on it. There's a lot of killer guitar work, but I'm not really into into Gil's delivery on that. And I got, I like Gil's voice. He's got a great rock voice, but his voice compared to Rick's,
Yeah,
it was just there was such a difference there between their tones. I just love Rick's tone and his voice, and
of course.
so I always, I do like "Woman in Love." That's a good bluesy track. "Take My Heart," Tearing Off the Roof, Finger Talking. That's Rick's sort of almost like the finger talking one on here is more of like a real Spanish sounding piece.
Yeah, I like that one. I like
And
that one.
I do like Hard Road. It's got a good chorus to it, great solos. It's kind of like the big epic, but it's nothing. It's nowhere near Just a Game or even The City or even fucking Blinding Light Show. It's just not on that level.
No.
So if that was the key track, I would say for me the key track on there is In the Night. And frankly, if there was one album I would say kind of that isn't really a necessity, this might be the album. Again, it's a 6.5, and if you're getting into this band, you're probably going to want to get the catalog. But this isn't one I'd spend $15 on. I'd try and find it used for $3 or $4.
Well, yeah, I totally agree with you. Like I said, it's not one of my favorites. In the Night's my favorite song on this.
Oh, absolutely, man.
I mean,
Absolutely.
but Tear the Roof Off is kind of a cool upbeat rocker. I don't. It just feels kind of like I said, it's a throwback, and it's almost like it wasn't. They didn't really spend. I don't know. I'm just feeling like they didn't spend so much time on this. They just
Well,
put
I
this
think you're
together.
right. I think you're right. And I think what happened was right around 78, 79, when they put Just a Game out, that's when they started to get a much higher profile and were starting to go out on tours a lot. And they spent a lot of time out on tour in those early years. And my guess was they just didn't have quality time to sit down and
Right.
write better songs. Because it's
That's
just, I'd be interested to hear what the guys in the band think of certain albums, particularly that one.
mhm.
And they didn't talk about it in the that I saw. I was listening while I was watching. I was finishing up my notes, so I didn't watch the doc like like my eyes glued to it. So I'm gonna go back and watch it tomorrow and see if I missed anything that was really important. But um, as far as what was going on at that album, they talk a lot about like in the Sport of Kings surveillance here when Rick leaves, but they don't
Mhm.
really they didn't get into this one, but let's move on to Allied.
All right.
And you got that one right, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. See the album there. Oops, sorry, hold on. Oops. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, OG for sure, man. Look at that. Ringwear and everything, man. Awesome.
Yeah. I think
Um,
this is actually the first Triumph album I ever bought, and it's got that fucking cool like
oh,
concert.
whoa, let me hold on, I want to see that. Bringing that up. Oh, look at that, man. And I will say, Triumph definitely took the Kiss model and took it to the nth degree. They put on a killer live show. There's lots of footage out there. Stages was the live album that they put up, the double live album, which we'll touch
And
on briefly.
if you're a kid and you see this as an album cover,
Oh, you're
I mean
all over it.
this this album
You're-
cover, this fucking sells it, man.
Well,
Look at that.
the funny thing is that Flying V's are one of the worst guitars to try to play because you got to sit down or you got to stand up. You don't have a choice.
No, I
And
know.
if you sit
I have a
down, you
Flying
gotta
V too.
do you? Yeah, you gotta hook it into your leg. It's a pain in the dick to fucking play, but they look badass, right?
But
They look killer.
you have a fucking Flying V with a sword in the middle of it with
Oh
lightning
hell,
bolt.
oh yeah. You know what, dude? I never noticed that was a sword.
Really?
I never noticed that. No. Oh shit. What a dumbass. I just saw it. How about that, man? And actually, if you look out there, there's not a lot of. It's hard to find a Triumph shirt out there.
Yeah.
Like a reprint. I didn't go on their website, but it's hard to find one. But mostly when you look for Triumph shirts, that's the image you're gonna find
Yeah.
when you look on eBay. All right, so this one comes out September 19th, 1981. This was recorded at Metalworks. And Metalworks is a very important thing to know about because that is Triumph's studio that they bought in Mississauga, Ontario. And it is still there to this day and has produced many thousands of albums, huge albums. from major Britney Spears recording there, you know, you name it. And the owner of that place is Gilmore. Gilmore must be worth
Huh,
a fucking penny,
right?
dude. Oh
Shit.
my god, yeah. He's got to be worth good money. So yeah, this one comes out. There were three singles off this: Allied Forces, Magic Power, Fight the Good Fight. Um, and back for these other albums, there was just one single, like it was "I Live for the Weekend" for Progressions, and Just a Game had Hold On and Lay It on the Line. But Allied was the first album with three. This one sold over 1 million copies eventually, so it went platinum. Whereas Just a Game was gold. I think Progressions, I'm not sure if Progressions went gold. I don't know if I wrote that down. I think it did eventually. Yeah, it did. But Allied Forces, what say you about this album, sir?
Yeah, definitely one of my favorite records. Obviously, seeing as that was the one that I got first. Yeah, I could see this first exposure. Like you're seeing like Flying V's and even the Never Surrender cover. You think, oh man, that's going to be like a heavy metal record. And I mean, to some extent it is, but I love this record. Magic Power, one of my all-time favorite Triumph songs.
What a great song, man.
And I just, yeah,
He's young
this is
love.
where like the band takes on a different, like a different tone, a different feel. Like they're their own band. This this album started like this is Triumph. Like when you hear them, you're like, hey, that's Triumph. I mean, you had Lay It on the Line before you knew that was Triumph, but on this one, oh, and then Allied Forces comes on. It's just a straight up rocker, man. Even has some like new wave of British heavy metal stuff mixed in there. Love that song. Fight the Good Fight. Just a fucking classic. Probably my favorite song on this album's Fight the Good Fight. Ordinary Man's a great song. Has some really cool riffs. Great vocals on that track. I love the vocals on it. And and the Petite is okay. Say Goodbye. Those are the kind of the two songs. I like how Air Raid is in the beginning of Allied Forces. I love how that begins like the journey of Allied Forces. Uh, yeah, I like how that
Oh yeah.
transitions into the song. So yeah, such a yeah man. Just I mean it's essential Triumph. You have to if you're gonna start anywhere with Triumph, I'd go with this one.
Probably this album is, I
Yeah,
agree. This is the one to
this,
start with.
this is the one. Like, hey, I don't know Triumph. Here, take this album because I can buy it for $3 down the street if I need to. But
um Yeah, for me, Full for Your Love is a good opener. It's a good gill, darker than usual. It's not your barroom blues opener. It's a good opener. Magic Power, that's a huge hit, although it was not their biggest hit. It's probably their second biggest. And it just shows what a great pop songwriter Rick Emmett is.
hmm
As well as being a great singer, man. I mean, when he does the when I got the magic power in the music in me, and he does that real high part. I got the music, but he goes way up. So good, man. And it's a, I guess metalheads could go, oh, it's kind of lightweight. Well, it is, but it's fucking killer, man. It's an amazing earworm, and you can't listen to that song and not come away with it and go, man, that melody's stuck in my head. I cannot get it out of my head. Air raid Allied Forces, love that. Down, 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 down,
yeah,
down. Killer song. Rock troops are on the move and ready to roll. Allied Forces, my generation. Great fucking tune. I do not like Hot Time in the City. That song bugs me. I just don't like that song. Uh, Fight the Good Fight, though. Come on,
shit.
man. Come on, man.
There you go.
Bow, bow, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. The days grow shorter and the nights are getting long. Oh my God, I fucking love that song. Then when he gets into the little part where he's like, keep up your courage, keep
Yeah,
up your faith, and it's got the cool little keyboard in the background. Probably my second favorite song over all the others. I just love Fight the Good Fight. And when he
yeah,
goes into the chorus where it's the heavy part with the heavy guitars, fight the good fight every moment. So good, man. But
yeah.
God damn, man, Ordinary Man is right there, man. It's
Yeah,
right
that's
there. Killer track, very mellow sort of
yeah,
beginning, and then it builds and builds and builds to the end. It's like, oh, just another ordinary man, and he's got the cool jazzy stuff. Love that song. Petititude, another, that's Rick's little thing. And frankly, again, they kind of fucked up. Like, why didn't this end on Ordinary Man or Fight the
right.
Good Fight? Say
Nope.
Goodbye's a good song, but it's not great
Nah.
compared to the other ones. So I'm gonna go 8.5 on this one, dude. I kind of drop a little bit from Just a Game because the good songs, the two killer songs, are not as good as the three killer songs on Just a Game. And I'm not taking anything away from Allied or well, all right, wait a minute. You know what? This is probably a 9. I'll give it a 9. I'll
Yeah,
give it a
I'm
9.
like, what are
Yeah.
you talking about, man? This is definitely a 9.
I'll give it a 9. I kind of forgot about Magic Power and
Yeah.
Allied, so
You got Magic Powered, Allied, Fight the Good Fight, and Ordinary Man.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's
It's
that's a
it's
9 for me.
yeah, it's
Easy.
super solid. And I like Fool for Your Love and I like Say Goodbye.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
just
it's
great.
a 9. It's a 9.
Yep, easy.
All right,
Cool.
man. We ready to roll?
Yep.
All right, we're blazing. All right, next up, we got Never Surrender. You got that one?
Yep.
Cool. Came out in 1982 in Canada. I don't know why, but I'm not seeing a date for that, release date for that. In the US and other territories, it came out January 28th, 83. So I don't know if it came out in December of 82. I'm thinking it must have been November or December, but I did not find a date on that, strangely. I didn't look on Discogs, so it could be on there. I'm talking about a month. I know it was out in 82. Is that an original pressing from is that still on Attic there?
It's on RCA. They're not. I
Okay.
think they were off Attic. I don't know. Maybe in Canada they were.
Well, they
Uh, oh
renegotiated
no, it
their
was because there's the little attic
Oh,
right
there it
there.
is down there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I know they renegotiate their deal coming up on I think the next album on Spellbound or Thunder 7, but so yeah, this was recorded at Metalworks. David Thoner co-produced with Triumph or Thurner, I don't know how you say it. Attic has the 82 version, dude. So you got no G right there. All the other countries, I think it came out on RCA.
Okay.
Um, three songs were came out on this one. It got to number 26 on the Billboard 200. All the way got to number 2. Lost in a World of Fantasy, number 3, and Never Surrender, number 23 on the Canadian charts. So what you say about this one, dude?
So Never Surrender, 83. This is my favorite Triumph record.
You know
Uh,
what? It's mine too, weirdly enough. That's
okay, good.
crazy. Yeah. That's crazy. That's because it's the best throughout,
Yeah,
consistently.
yeah, just super solid. The whole record is it's just a great record. Too much thinking. I love that one. Has kind of a I was listening to the other day and I totally got like 80s like Sabbath vibes, like with fucking
The intro.
Gillian vocals, like born again type shit on this
Yeah,
one.
it's got that weird like guitar thing that comes in,
Yeah,
and it's almost like it's kind of dark and sinister sounding for
yeah,
Triumph.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
World of Fantasy, it's my favorite
Love
Triumph.
that song,
My
man.
favorite, hands down favorite Triumph song.
Oh wow.
Um,
Nice
yeah,
pick.
yeah, and
Nice.
I just love this song. Every time I hear it, it's just it never gets old. I love this song.
Well, that cool part, where they got the multi-part harmonies, and it's like lost in a world of
Yeah, man.
fantasy, and then you got Rick going, "Look what you done! Look what you done!" I can't get anywhere near his fucking vocals, but so good, man.
The rhythm, it's a hypnotic song. When you hear this song, you get drawn into this song no matter what you're doing.
But
So
Dennis, it's a pop song though, all the way around. It's a pop song, but I love it,
yeah, I
love
don't
it,
care.
love it,
It's a
love
great,
it.
great song. Love it. It's definitely lighter on their sound, but it and I wrote down here, I wrote hypnotic but beautiful.
Yeah, agree.
It's just a great, great
It's
song all
it's
the
a
way.
Rick Emmett hook, man. That guy
Yeah.
fucking just was throwing them out left and right back then.
All the Ways, another killer hard rock song. The chorus I love on that one.
The
Battle Cry,
solo.
man. Battle Cry,
Oh,
shit,
I
dude.
love that song, dude. That's the
Song's
heavy
so
track.
good.
That's the
Yeah,
heavy track.
never. Oh man, so much. Never Surrender. Another great track. Emmett just goes off on that solo.
That
Yeah, just
that reggae, the reggae sort of sounding verse,
yeah,
but then he goes into the really killer da na 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 da na 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 never, that never surrender, hold your
yeah.
head
That
up.
part. Jeez, man.
So fucking good, man.
Just yeah. Overall, just it's essential Triumph record. I felt like at this point in their career, this was, and I think this culminating too with the US Festival. This was like their
Good
most
point.
popular time.
It
They're
was.
they were in their top. They were on top of their game right
They
here.
were. This was
This
peak.
was the
This was
record.
peak Triumph right here at this
Yeah,
point. Because you said in '83 they headlined the US Festival. Steve Wozniak put that festival on.
yeah,
I don't know who else was on that. Do you remember
yeah.
who else was in that bill?
So
It was a pretty big
you
bill.
you said Triumph headline. They did not headline.
Oh, they did not. Oh, my bad.
No, Van Halen headlined on that day.
That's right. VH. That's
Yeah.
right.
So it was Van Halen, then Triumph, Judas Priest, Motley Crue, Quiet Riot, and Scorpions. Scorpions
That's
were there.
right. Scorpions were there.
Scorpions were, I think it was Van Halen, Scorpions, Triumph, then Motley Crue,
Okay.
uh,
You might be
and
you might be right. I
and
didn't
then
look that
Quiet
up.
Riot. Yeah. I can't remember the order, but I think that's how it went.
Um, yeah, man. You know, you're right. I mean, the period from Allied Forces through this album and a little bit into the next album was their peak 4 or 5 years where they were headlining giant arenas. They were,
Yeah.
they had a lot of quote unquote bigger bands that were opening for them. And obviously in '83, Van Halen was fucking worldwide mega
Oh shit!
giant.
Wait,
So
Ozzy was there too. I forgot Ozzy.
I think you're right. Ozzy was there with Jakey
Shit.
Lee, right? Jakey Lee, right?
Yeah, Jake. That was Jakey Lee's show.
That's right. Because Randy had died just not much, like about less than a year before that, I think.
Shit, can you
Um,
imagine being at that show,
you
man?
know what? Look, while I'm giving my album rundown, why don't you look up Bus Festival and see if there's a running order of because I could swear Triumph was near the top. They wouldn't have opened for, they wouldn't have been a headliner over Van Halen at that time.
Ah,
You're right. Because Van Halen was right on the verge of putting out 1984.
yeah,
What was the album before 1984? That was Fair Warning.
yeah.
Okay. So
No,
they're
it was.
still big.
I think it was. Was it Diver Down? No, Women and Children First.
Now, you might be right. It might be Women and Children. It probably was Women and Children, yeah. And that was big. That was a huge album for them.
Yeah,
Because you had Everybody Wants Some, you had Cradle Will Rock, Lost Control. I mean, you had a lot of killer fucking tracks. What's the Yours in a Simple Rhyme? God damn, I love that album, man. That might be my favorite Van Halen now that you brought that up.
that's a great record.
Although I love Van Halen too. So
All right, you ready? I
yeah,
found it.
what is it? So what is it?
Metal Day. Van Halen was the headliner, then
Okay.
Scorpions, then Triumph,
Okay.
then Judas Priest, then Ozzy. Ozzy was way down.
Wow. Well, I got to keep in mind, Ozzy only had 2 albums out to that point. I don't know if Bark of the Moon had come out yet, had
Wait a
it?
second. Why does it say Joe Walsh?
Yeah, Joe Walsh was there, I believe.
It says Ozzy, Joe Walsh, and Motley Crue, but I know Quiet Riot was there.
I don't know about that. You're probably right, though. That sounds like a festival they'd be on. How about that lineup, though, dude? Are you kidding me?
Right?
All of them kind of in peak form at that point. Although Priest, let me see, that would have been Priest. Yeah, that would have
Yeah,
been
that was
right in
what?
Priest peak.
Scream for
Yeah, it's
Vengeance, right?
Screaming for Vengeance, man. And I guess what? Blackout for Scorpions, right?
Yeah, it was Blackout for Scorpions.
And then who else did you say was on there?
Motley Crue, that was Shout at the
That
Devil.
would have been Shout, right?
Yeah.
And then Van Halen would have had Fair Warning, I think, was the
Well, I mean,
one
they would have
before.
had pretty much everything out up to Fair Warning. So, I mean, that would
Right.
have been, I mean, everything besides 84. So,
And who'd you say was second on the bill? Scorpions.
Uh, Scorpions.
Okay, wow, that's kind of they were huge though at that point in time. The Scorpions were massive, man.
Yeah.
With Love Drive and Blackout was massive, which I
Yeah.
love that album. Scorpions Deep Dive would be a good one, man. Although I really stopped caring after Love at First Sting, but
Well,
um,
I was gonna say I have everything up until Savage Amusement.
that's what I same here, dude. That's when I jumped off the train, man.
Me
And
too.
I've not looked back. I've never bought a Scorpions album since.
The
I hear
last
the
one was
new,
the
heard
last
the
one
new
was pretty
ones.
good. It had
I
some
heard it
good
was
rockers on it.
I heard it was good. I didn't pick it
Yeah.
up, but all right, let me run this down. Never Surrender, my favorite too, just by a hair, just by a hair. Too Much Thinking, great song, man. World of Fantasy, we just jizzed all over. That's fucking gorgeous. What's that? A minor prelude. One of that's actually not Rick's piece on here. He does a little intro thing all the way. Very poppy track. I hadn't listened to that in a long time until I hit it today. I was like, all right, I like this one, but it's not anywhere near a World of Fantasy. It's nowhere in that neighborhood. And frankly, it's not anywhere near Never Surrender either. Battle Cry, man, that's the most untriumph like song on this album. It's dark, it's heavy, it's brooding. I love that song.
Yeah.
Gil does a great job on that one. Overture Processional is the lead in. Those synths are kind of cheesy, but the riffs are super heavy on that song leading into Never Surrender. Man, I love Never Surrender. Oh my God, I love that song. It is
Yeah.
just
Such
so
a fucking
fucking
banger, man.
killer. And you didn't mention this song, man, but when the lights go down, come on,
Oh yeah,
man.
no, that's. I thought I
Oh,
said, oh, that's a good song. I
no,
just
I
didn't
didn't.
say much about it.
I fucking love that song. It's probably
Yeah.
my favorite Gill song, man. When the lights go down, time to light the fuse. So good, man. Writing on the Wall is kind of meh. The
Yeah.
epilogue is the acoustic bluesy thing, outro, and that's really
That's
cool.
just the outro.
Yeah, we mentioned the US Festival, really big opportunity for them, and they played the. I don't know. They said there was 500,000 people at that
Yeah.
show. That
There was
that's
so many people there.
and you know where was that at? That was in California. Was it near
Yeah, I
L.A.?
think it was in. It was somewhere in Southern California. I'm not sure
Okay, so
where.
it was near LA then. So
Yeah, but
you wouldn't have known about it, or you
oh no,
wouldn't have
I was
headed
way
down
too
for that. Yeah.
young to fucking be able to
Oh,
see
that's
that.
right. You would have been. Yeah, that's true. So you never
Yeah.
got to see even like the Day on the Green stuff, right? Either, right?
No, I
Up at
did get
oh, you
my one of
did,
my first concert was Day on the Green '85.
and that was the one with who?
That was Scorpions, Metallica, uh,
Ingve.
Ingve, Rat,
Oh,
and
nice,
Y&T.
nice, man. That's fucking killer, dude.
Yeah,
All right, man. So Thunder 7. You got that one?
yeah.
I have these too, but I have them in CD, so it's looking nicer with the albums. There you go, man. I like the
There-
cover on this one. Cover on
Yeah,
this one's cool.
got some like.
One of their better. It's got a Geiger sort of thing
Yeah, I was gonna
almost,
say
you know.
it's got like an H.R. Giger type of
Yeah, yeah.
look to it, which
Um,
reminiscent of the Debbie Harry record.
yeah, it's true, right? This came out on in the U.S. on 11/10/84. So I'd have been a senior in high school. No, I'd have graduated by now. UK 11/19/84. Uh, Metalworks again. Producer was and also producers workshop studio in LA. Eddie Kramer is in on the production of this, and anybody that knows music should know Eddie Kramer. That's the Hendrix dude that did all the Hendrix albums, producer, engineered, and
Who did
also
the
Triumph.
cover?
Huh?
Who did the cover for this?
I don't know. You'd have to look on the. Well, wait a minute. Here, I can look. I can look quick. It's easier on here. Art direction design Dean Motter for Modern Image Works.
Hmm, concept.
Concept Emmett Motter Owens Da Vinci. So they kind of stole a little bit from Da Vinci's
Oh, weird,
thing, yeah.
crazy.
And also on this one, oh, Eddie Kramer did the mix. It was recorded by Ed Stone and Eddie Kramer. No, Eddie Kramer was producing on it. Yeah. How about that? I did not actually know that Eddie Kramer produced this. That's pretty crazy. I really like this album. I like the sound on it. I really do like the actual mix on it. But this is kind of the last I think it's the last album. Yeah, it's the last album that they don't bring in outside writers on. And you can start to tell in upcoming records that becomes sort of an issue for me anyways. What do you got on this one, dude? And this one went gold, by the way. And like I said, it's the last album to feature just the band as writers.
I like how it just has a little quote underneath this. It says, "There are 10 thunders in the wake. The seventh thunder is tribal man again.
Ooh,
Is tribal man again." Okay.
ooh, nice. Where does it say that on the
It's
back?
on right here
Oh,
in
on
this
on
little
there. Okay.
spot on the vinyl underneath this. It's just a little quote.
Oh, nice, man.
Yeah.
This has some killer tracks on it, man. One of them is a monster favorite of mine. I'm interested to see if we connect on this the same way.
Yeah. So
Go-
this record I like. I like this record. And here's my thoughts on this is you have to think about 84. I felt like this was the time. This is definitely you can hear a lot more keyboards on this
Oh yeah, for sure.
record. Definitely a lot of synth on this one. And I don't know who did the keyboards. I didn't see it, but
It's a number of Mike does most of them. Mike Levine
yeah.
still does. There is synthesizer programming additional keyboards. Lou Pomanti.
Okay.
Never heard of him. Studio guy.
You could tell there's someone mixed in here because you can hear a difference in this record. This I feel is where the record company kind of stepped in a little bit and was like,
Yep,
"Hey,
exactly.
we want right now
Hits.
we've got bands like Def Leppard blowing up,
Exactly.
and we want an overproduced fucking hard rock record that's gonna sell 5 billion copies."
Nailed
Um,
it. Nailed it.
so, but still a great record.
It
Um,
is.
I love Spellbound. Probably, I mean, it's a killer. Like, it's a radio hard rocker. Rock out, roll on, man. That's a badass.
Love that song, dude.
Yeah, that's a fucking killer track. Time Goes By is probably a really cool. Probably, I don't know, man. Time Goes By is a great song.
Dude, that's
I
my
like.
favorite song. That's my
Yeah, I was
favorite
gonna
song on the
say
album.
that's probably like the most proggy track on
Oh
this
yeah,
record.
but it's badass though. It's a
Yeah,
badass tune.
and I like Stranger in a Strange Land too. That's a cool
Killer
song.
track. Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's a great record. Cool down, yeah, whatever. But yeah, those other tracks definitely. I mean, Spellbound. I mean, it's a great record. I think,
Spellbound.
yeah, I think this is a record that doesn't get enough love,
Agreed.
and I kind of get it. It kind of strayed away from some of the some of the things Triumph was doing and changed their style a little bit. But I think if people had actually like listened to this record more, I think this would have been a really big record. It's super radio friendly, and I think it could have had a. I think it could have had a lot of great tracks on the radio. It just
Well,
I don't think it really caught on at the time.
yeah, I mean the songs that went out were Spellbound and Follow Your Heart. And Follow Your Heart's definitely that big AOR hard rock
Yeah.
ballad. And it's a good one too. It's a great song. Yeah, Spellbound, man. That's it starts out a lot more synthy.
Yep.
But here's the thing. They didn't suddenly become fucking Saga
No.
or
No.
Genesis or something like that. It's still rooted in the three piece with the hard rock. But here's the thing: they actually added a second guitar player to play live on this album. Rick
Oh,
Santers
really?
came in. Yeah, he came on board to do backing vocals. Yeah, his name's he had a Canadian band called Santers, Santers. Very good guitar player, great singer, and that band Santers is really good. Spellbound, man. Love it.
Yep.
Uh, Rock Out, Roll On, my second favorite track. Man, is that song
Yep.
badass. Rock
Yep.
Out, Roll On. Man, so good. Great, and that's a super heavy song.
Yep.
Great killer guitars in it. Um, the vocals are killer. It's just a great song. Cool Down, It's a nice
Yep.
intro. Cool. It's got some slide on it. It's got a Skinnerd sound to it, doesn't it? A little bit of a Skinnerd
Yeah.
Southern rock sound to
I
it.
could hear that.
It's not a bad song. I like it. It's just got a little bit of a sort of a Marshall Tucker vibe to it for some strange reason. It's their one, bluesy, heavy riff song. Follow Your Heart, pretty poppy rocker, has a very typical 80s intro. Those chords on the intro are so 80s, man. I
Yeah.
mean, they're so George Lynchian and 80s, but I love them. Time goes by, man. This fucking song just rules. Every Triumph album has like that one song that you're like,
Yep,
oh, and this is the one for me. I
that's the
love it.
one right there.
And also, it's got my favorite acoustic track, Midsummer's Daydream. I can play this mostly, but it's been a long time. So I was actually, my kid can play it way better than me, but
Yeah,
I was actually going to try to maybe do something with this. Problem is, I have a really shitty guitar I need that needs a fret job on it, and I just don't want to embarrass myself. Time Cannon, the acapella thing is really, really cool. First time they ever did that with just
yeah,
an
that's
all
cool.
vocal song. And then it
Yeah, that
gets
one.
into Killing Time, and I love that song. That's a badass track.
Yeah,
Stranger in a Strange Land, man. Just a stranger in a strange land. Good song, really good riffs in that one. Very Rush like. That one's very
yeah.
Rush like.
Hmm.
And last song, Little Boy Blues, is kind of a suitcase blues without vocals. It's a lot of great guitar work from Rick. Kind of another one where they should have maybe put like rock out, roll on at the end, or maybe follow your heart, or not follow your heart. Time goes by at the end. I just feel like that song was kind of anticlimactic, but it's still great, man. And I give this an 8.5 out of 10. I really like this album a lot.
Oh yeah, I'll probably give it a. I want to give it a. I'll give it an 8 too.
What did you give Never Surrender? Was that a 10
10,
out of 10 for you?
10.
Okay. And I didn't do I that's a 9.5 out of for me. The only thing I subtract for is I really don't like writing on the wall. It's kind of a really meh
Yeah,
thing. And frankly, they have the minor prelude and they have the overture thing in the epilogue. I could have done with one more song on there to flesh that album out a little better. The nice thing though about Triumph albums, Dennis, and see if you agree with me, is they don't overstay their welcome, man. They're
that's true.
38, 42 minutes. They're perfect little capsules of sound that you're not like, oh God, this thing's grinding on forever. It's not 65 minutes, you know what I mean?
True.
Um, really, really killer album. And then they put out Stages in October 26, 1985. That's a double live album following the Thunder 7 tour. What do we got here? And then we're moving on to the much more commercial. Oh, you got that one. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Oh, sweet. That's a gate, right?
yeah. It's yeah, Gatefold.
Oh, look at that shit. Awesome. Very young men here, man. They're in their probably
Look at
30s
that.
at this point. And they are at their apex. This is kind of they're at the top of their game with that. And that's a great live album. I don't know how live it really is. You know, a lot of
Right.
albums in the 70s and 80s were not live that you thought were live. Good example of that is Rush's Exit Stage Left. Go listen to that album. It sounds like it was recorded in a studio. Oh, that's because most of it was overdubbed and fixed.
Yeah, a lot
Um,
of those live stuff. I mean, even like Slayer Live on Dead, that was all in the studio.
One of the biggest live albums ever, Frampton Comes Alive. Most of
Yeah,
it was fixed. Here's another big one. You know this one, Unleashed in the East.
yeah.
Most of that was all re-recorded, all the vocals and everything.
Wow.
Um, so now, do you have Sport of Kings or not?
No, I don't have
Okay.
anything else.
Okay.
That's my Triumph catalog for me.
All right. I do not. I had Sport of Kings on cassette. Unfortunately, when my storage unit was repossessed, that was lost to it, sadly. I will show you. I have one other thing. I do want to get Sport of Kings. I am going to get that and Rock
Yeah,
and Roll Machine. After that, the last two I don't really need, but I do have this that I think I picked up in a cutout bin or something.
nice.
It's the greatest hits remixed. It's got the DVD of them playing. Where are they? Forget where they're playing. Is that the US Festival? No, it's not the US Festival. What is it?
Us Festival's on YouTube,
Oh yeah, I know, but I'm looking to see what this
and I
show is.
you know Steve actually introduces them.
He does. Yes, he does. Yes.
That's hilarious.
Let me look and see what this show is because it's a live show. It's not the Sweden Rock because they did put that out as a separate thing. What do we have here? Let me see. It is. All right, so this is what they have here. They have the 97 Toronto Music Awards, the 2007 Canadian Music Week Conference, also the Juno Awards. Um, God damn, I do not know where this show is from. Or is it? Hold on, dude. Hold on, my bad. The DVD is all the fucking. It's all the videos. It's all their
Okay.
videos. Yeah, I
Oh,
yeah. It's follow your heart, lay it on the line, spellbound, magic power. When the lights go down, hold on. Just one night. Somebody's out there. Allied forces never surrender. Yeah. And then it has bonus videos. So it's all the the videos of those songs. And then it's got Child of the City with Phil X. Blinding Lights show from a fan bootleg video, and Love Hurts because they did a cover of Love Hurts, for Nazareth, which by
yeah,
the way, Nazareth's singer just passed away, right? Dan
yeah.
McCafferty.
I heard about that.
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago. And then it's got their Hall of Fame induction. This came out in 2010. It's all the songs were remixed. I don't really notice any major difference with them, but it does have Love Hurts on it. That's really the only thing you can get on here. I do not have uh Sport of Kings. Do you have that one? Do you have that one queued up on your phone or no?
Yeah, I can pull it up. I mean, it's probably gonna look like shit.
Yeah, it probably is. Probably lame doing this with. I did have this album though. The
Kind
last
of has
two I do not own.
weird, weird looking cover. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you can kind of see it.
that's not bad. Yeah, there it
Yeah.
is. Oh, there it is. Yeah, actually, I actually like the cover. It's kind of artistic and cool,
Yeah.
um,
It's got
compared
like
to a lot of
tarot
their other
cards
stuff.
on it.
So much more commercial direction here. Looking for singles. They had a number 27 was their biggest hit with Somebody's Out There. They had a lot of outside writers on here and keyboard players, and it started to develop a lot of tension. And initially, they brought in Ron Nevison, and Ron Nevison did like fucking like I believe Aerosmith, done with me or was it done with Mirrors? I think he did a lot of bands, and they started to kind of, especially Gil Moore, who remember this is Gil's band. Gil started this band. He coaxed Mike into coming in, and then they coaxed Rick to come in. And what happened with Ron Nevinson was he wanted to make Rick the focal point of the band. All the videos focused on him. He wanted him to sing the whole album. In fact, when they initially started recording the album with Ron Nevinson, he'd be like, "Yeah, you're going to sing this one, Gil," and then Gil would come in ready to sing that song and be like, I changed my mind. I think I want Rick to sing this song." And basically, in the end, it was all Rick. And
Mhm.
Gil was not happy about it and said, "Nah, this is not how this band is. We've always been democratic." Rick said he felt really shitty about it and went and talked to him on the plane. But he's like, "We really ought to give this a try because this might push us into the gigantic leagues." And Gil was like, "Nah, we ain't doing that. We're firing Ron Nevinson." So they got rid of him and they brought in Mike Klink, who I believe Mike Klink was involved in the production of Appetite for Destruction. Kind of a weird choice there because Guns has nothing to do with Triumph.
No.
But anyway, so what's your take on this album?
Yeah, this one, it's just, I mean, 80, what was this? 86 this album came
That's
out?
that's 86. Yep. And it
Yeah,
sounds like 86. It
it sounds
sounds
like
dated.
86.
It
It
sounds dated.
sounds very 86. Sounds like they wanted
Especially
them to
especially the
sound,
keyboards, right? Especially the
yeah,
synthesizers on it.
massively. I wrote on here killer keyboards, but heavily driven. Uh, I like the first song, Sport of Kings. I really like that song. It's a decent. That sounds like a Dawkins song to me. Um,
Wait, which one? You mean Tears in the
Sport,
Rain?
sorry, Tears in the Rain. Sorry.
Yeah, Tears in the
Yeah,
Rain, yeah.
yeah, that
Oh,
one
I
sounds
love
like,
that song.
yeah, that one's the first song, Tears in the Rain. Definitely sounds like a Dawkins or
Yeah.
even 80s like Kiss. It just has like that total like um, stadium sound that was going on at the time. I like Somebody's Out There. Yeah, I mean it's a radio hit, but it's a good track.
Oh, it's a great song.
Yeah, and Hooked on You, I like that song. It sounds like a Sammy Hagar song. Almost has like a um his song Heavy Metal. I can hear those guitar sounds in that song, but a lot of this record falls flat for me. It's a lot of filler on it. Besides those songs, like the rest of the album seems like, and it seems like a lot of times with records like that come out like this, it's like they start out really strong and then at some point they kind of like peter off and you lose interest in it. And to
Right.
me, that's kind of how this record is to me. It starts out strong, and I like a lot of the those songs that I said, but
Right.
to me, it's not an essential Triumph album, and to me, it's like the start of the band, like kind of just fading away.
It absolutely is. It's the beginning of the end because Rick's going to leave after the next album. I will say, though, oddly, though, unlike you, it starts really strong with the first three tracks. If Only's kind of cool. It's a darker song for Rick. He doesn't usually go that dark, but that song's very, very cool. Hooked on You's okay. Take a Stand is meh. And Brujo is the acoustic piece. But man, the last three tracks, dude, in the
Yeah,
middle of the night is fucking a great song, man. Oh my god, that song's great. Don't what's that say? Don't love anybody else but me. Very Boston. Listen to that song after we get off and
yeah,
listen to the beginning of it. It's a total ripoff of Peace of Mind. Down, 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 down. It's a total ripoff. Play with Fire. I really like that. That's a very Rush song. Killer intro to that song. It's got a Mystic Rhythm sort of vibe, and that's probably the heaviest song on the album. I like that song a lot. And I really like In the Middle of the Night. I really like that song. It's very anthemic and very 80s, but it's great. It's a great hook on it. Um, the problem with this album is the drums sort of sound very synthetic. They have that very like synth drum sound as opposed to real drums, which sucks. They also the vocals are great on it. I mean, it sounds very 80s. It's glossy and overproduced and affected by record company desire to get more radio hits. And yes, they did get their biggest hit out of this with Somebody's Out There, but Tears in the Rain, dude, that's a killer opener. Love that song.
yeah. That's my favorite song on the record.
I actually really like What Rules My Heart. It's a heavy riff on there, heavier than you'd expect with a title like that, and it's pretty damn good track. I'm gonna give this one. What did I give this? Hold on. I think I double. I'm gonna give this a 6.5. There's the
Okay.
songs that are strong are worth a 6.5, and I would say if you find this in the cutout bin for $3 or $4, it's
Oh
absolutely worth that.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's definitely it's a an album I think that's worth getting. I'm not saying it's not worth getting. It's
Right.
just you can hear like at this point there's going to be some tension going on. I could feel like that the record company's pulling them a completely different way than how Triumph started out,
Yep.
and
Exactly.
they're they're trying to play music they don't really play.
And I think
Uh,
the other problem is that Rick was starting to kind of buy into this a little bit, and
yeah,
Gil and Mike weren't, and that started to drive a wedge between them to some extent, based on what I got out of the documentary. Which, by the way, again, to let people know, the documentary is called Rock and Roll Machine. It's done by Banger Films, so it's Sam Dunn and his partner, and they always do quality shit like the Rush one and many others that they've done. So yeah, it's worth grabbing on Prime for $4. I think it is 3.99. I think something like that.
yeah. I mean, I'll probably check it out tomorrow.
So yeah, man, not a bad record and definitely worth grabbing. These last two, man, I don't know. I really don't know. I thought I was gonna like Surveillance a lot more, and again, I got in '86. I was working a summer job, driving a tow motor at this place. Was listening to that Sport of Kings quite a bit in the tape deck and the old Bug. What? No, I had a what did I have by then? I had a Mustang by then. Um, but this one, Surveillance, comes out 7/27/87. It's the last album with Rick Emmett on the album. It should be noted that during this time, Gil's father died, and he was he was very close with his dad, and his dad had a lot to do with the business end of Triumph, like doing their books and everything. It was recorded at Metalwork Studios. Tom Trumbo co-produced on MCA. Man, okay, so where do we
Yeah,
start here? I guess the beginning, right?
yeah.
What do you have to say about this one?
I actually like I like the first song, "Never Say Never." I really like that.
Did you
It's
watch
a
the video? The video is fucking terrible. Oh
I
my
have not
god.
watched the video. But I
So
think
bad.
again, we go back to this kind of almost this Dawkins feel.
Yes.
Uh, it has
I
kind of a
thought
cheesy chorus, but I mean, I like the song. I mean,
I thought
uh,
this one had a real Scorpions vibe to it.
oh yeah, okay,
That's what
I
I
can see
wrote
that.
noted. Yeah.
And then I really like "Headed for Nowhere." That's a total. This is my favorite probably song on this record. Um, and it does have like I think Steve Morse plays guitar, like
Not
does
on
this
that one. Not on
not
that one.
on
On
this one.
all the King's horses he plays with
Oh,
Rick.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but
You
this
know what
one,
this song reminded me of though? Headed for Nowhere.
what?
You might fucking barf when you hear it. It sounds very much like Survivor, like Eye of the Tiger,
Okay,
Survivor. Yeah. To
to
me.
me, to me, I hear like a lot of, and it seems weird, but I hear a lot of Ingve in this song, like a almost like
Really?
yeah, like an old Ingve song. The way that it
Like
sounds, I don't know why, but it reminds me of an Ingve song. Maybe it's the way he
wow.
sings.
I gotta go
But
listen to that again with
yeah,
that in
I
mind.
hear like very like Scott Soto, almost like his rhythms, the way he's singing on this.
Okay. Okay, I see that a little
I'm
bit.
not
Like,
talking about the guitars more. I'm talking about more of the vocal. It just
yeah, that was what was the big song? Was he did he do I'll See the Light Tonight or was that a
yeah.
different singer?
No, he did that.
Okay. That's
It just
weird. Now that's not something I would have expected to hear out of you that this sounds like Ingve. That's pretty cool.
right.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, and then all the King's horses. That sounds more like classic Triumph to me.
Yep. That's the one with Steve Morse from Dixie
Steve
Dregs,
Morse
yeah.
plays on that one.
Yep.
Okay, and then "Carry On the Flame" is super cheesy. Sounds kind of like a anthemic again, like a '80s,
Very 80s.
very '80s like movie song you'd hear in like Blonde,
Dude, that's exactly what I wrote down. This is a movie soundtrack song. And you know what? The whole album sounds like that.
right?
All these songs sound like they could be in a really, really bad
Yep,
John
there you go.
what's the guy? John Hughes, is that his name? The guy
Yeah,
that did Breakfast Club? It sounds like they could be in a bad Breakfast Club movie that never got off the ground. Like they're like,
like
dude, I wrote that. Like every song. I'm like, this sounds like an 80s soundtrack song.
it sounds like an '80s soundtrack. Like oh, it's like, can we get Triumph? Yeah, it's like in a Karate Kid ripoff movie or something.
Yeah, right. Exactly, man. That I am so glad you said that because that's exactly what I thought about this whole album.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Um, any other tracks there toward the bottom you were into
I
at all?
mean, yeah, I this is another record where I kind of lose interest in after those few.
Yeah,
I just yeah. So to me, and it to me, Rick sounds very uninspired on this record as far as his
I
vocals.
agree. Not only
You could,
that, just his songs. There's a couple solos that are good, but
yeah,
man, like here you go. Rock You Down. Oh fuck, those intro drums, those chanted vocals. No, that's what I wrote. No, with big O's. I mean that's another thing on this album you don't hear on the other albums. They're those chanted vocals, like that gang vocal thing.
yeah,
And you know what that is, dude. This is 1987. What came out in 87?
I don't,
Hysteria.
yeah,
Hysteria. And that's 9 million layers of vocals. On
yeah,
there, it works. On here, it does not work. It just does
yeah,
not work. And I thought when I re listened to this, I thought for some reason this album had a lot more heavier riffs on it. It really
no,
doesn't, man.
no,
It's very 80s, very mild sounding. I mean, there's like, okay, Never Say Never is probably the big song off the album, but it Never Say Never is a fucking movie
yeah,
soundtrack song.
yeah,
Headed for Nowhere. Actually, that was with Rick Santer's co-write. By the way, 5 songs on here co-written by other writers. That should
yeah,
tell you something right there. It's like this is like their club ninja right here. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
it is. It's got those co-writers all over it, and it's like, why did they do that? All the King's Horses is cool with Morse. That's an acoustic Dixie Dregs sort of thing. Carry On the Flame, another very 80s
yeah.
sounding, dated. Man, the chorus is cheese.
All
Let the lights
I wrote
shine on
on here
me.
is cheesy.
I got cheese everywhere, man. I got cheese everywhere. Let the light shine on me. Sounds dated, very 80s, soundtracky to a lame, never made movie. All what do I got? A long time gone. Best song on the album. That's the classic Rick song right there. But again, the chanted vocals in it suck. That's a long time gone is my favorite song, but it gets to that chanted vocal part, the gang vocal, and I
Yeah.
fucking want to turn it off. Rock You Down, fuck no. Prelude, okay, intro, cool. On and on. Okay, track, Rick ballad, all over again. Man, the cheesy synths are so 80s. Chugging riffs on this one that I like. The drums sound terrible. Gil, uh, actually on that one all over again. Gil sounds okay. What do they got here? What's the last song here? Running in the Night. Right there, it already sounds like a fucking 80s movie. Running in the
Right.
Night.
Running.
Running in the night. You can say it like running in the night, chased by your shadow. You can just fucking I can write the song.
Yep.
Um, very synthetic, much lamer than I thought it was going to be. This album is where Triumph became Bon Jovi, Danger, Danger, and Winger all in one.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, much lamer than to me, man. This is barely a five. I give this a five simply because it still sounds good, even though it sounds dated. The production is good, but there just aren't good songs on here, man. You can tell Rick was checked out. He was already
Yeah.
moving
He
on to
was
his
he was
solo
checked
career.
out on this for sure.
So they
He's
only did they only did 10 shows in support of this phase of their album. And Rick backstage told everybody this was his last show in September of '87. I wrote it down, but I can't find the date anywhere. Not look, if I found this for $4 in a cutout bin, I'd pick it up. But I'm
yep.
gonna tell you, five $5 would probably be too much for me to pay for it. I just don't.
I'd spend $5 for it, but
I mean,
that's
that's probably about it. That's probably
yeah,
the
that's
ceiling,
it.
right?
Um, I
Um,
I really like Never Say Never and Headed for Nowhere and All the King's Horses. I like those songs. I and it's probably an album I can put on and I can enjoy, but I really feel like I mean I think the last album was probably they should have called it quits. This album, I mean, they just kind of went on from the last record, and it was just a bunch of like you said, Rick's kind of he's calling it in from here, and you could tell it's very uninspired, but
well,
I still like it.
it's look, I could put this on and listen to it and not cringe too much. I might have a
Yeah,
few cringe moments where the butthole puckers a little bit and I go, oh man, is that really what I just heard there? But
yeah.
again, Rick's solos are great on here. His vocals are they're good. They're maybe not like they were. I mean, they're still Triumph, but they're now watered down Triumph, and
Oh
you can
yeah,
tell
way down.
you can tell something's up here, and it was that Rick's ends up leaving.
Yeah,
We'll talk about him coming back and the Reformation a little bit at the end here, but they end up going on and they pull in Phil X. I don't know if you know who Phil X is, right? Plays with Bon Jovi.
yeah.
I don't have his last name. It's like some bit real long Greek name.
Yeah,
Zandra,
I didn't write it down,
I
but
think it's Zandropoulos or something like that.
yeah,
And
something
look,
like.
Phil
And
is a killer guitar player. He's a great guitar player. Apparently he was found playing with a bar band. He has a band called the Drills, and I guess um, Gil saw him and said, "You want to cut a record with us?" So they put out Edge of Excess, which was the last album, came out October 27th, 1992, and 112 that was in Canada and came out January 12th, 1993 in the US. Recorded in Metalworks, Mike Levine and Noel Golden were the producers. Gil is the sole vocalist on this now. Um, yeah, what's your take on this one, dude? Oh,
and
real
I
quick,
did.
it came out on Virgin in Canada because their deal with MCA was done. Also Polygram Victory label. So it was Polygram parent, but Victory was the imprint, and that was the world over. And just so you know, that label then went belly up during the and like after this album came out, and that was kind of the end of Triumph,
Yeah,
kind of the end, but not exactly. So, what's your take on this one?
and I just a side note, I do remember at some point they were trying to get a vocalist that I can't remember
Yes.
his name, but he was working with Aldo Nova. So they
Well, no, that's Phil. That's Phil, who
oh,
you're
was that
thinking of.
him?
Yeah, Phil was, and it's weird how Aldo comes up again,
Right?
crazily. Phil was working in the Aldo Nova live band, and
Okay, that was it.
they tempted him to come over to Triumph because they were a bigger name, but the vocalist that they were going to use live, um, and I don't know that this outfit ever actually played out live, to be honest with you. I didn't see anything about that. But Rick Santers, the rhythm guitar player and backup vocalist, has a very similar Rick Emmett vibe to his voice. So they're going to use him live to do the Rick Emmett stuff. That's how that
Okay.
was. Yeah.
All right. I knew there was
Yeah.
an Aldo Nova connection.
Yes, there was. And we're going to talk about Aldo at the end of this thing for sure. So
Uh, and then
anything jump out at you here?
uh, you know, I like Moore's vocals on this. I think he's putting his all into it.
Oh, yeah.
So I definitely think it's an enjoyable. I like this a lot better than the last record.
It's
Troublemaker
it's
is
way
a
heavier, right? It's
yeah,
way
it's a
heavier.
cool speedy rocker.
Yep.
It does have some like kind of cheesy songs, like "It's Over," is super cheesy. But I think that
Yeah.
song I think it could have been a hit if this record was promoted. Edge of Excess is a cool rocker. Black Sheep is a cool track. I mean, I think
Very, very white snaky, don't you think? A
yeah,
lot of the sounds white
yeah.
snaky
It
80s.
just
And that's no mystery because that's coming on the heels of 87, which was the big Whitesnake album. And then you also had Hysteria that year. You had all those huge I can't remember when did was Back for the Attack 87? I think it might have
yeah, I think
been
so. That was
yeah.
87.
Which you had Kiss of Death, you had much heavier. I think
Yeah,
that
it
album was
got
much
heavier.
heavier than this.
I think
Go ahead.
what I wrote down here is it's more enjoyable overall than the previous record. Kind of a mix, almost with like a Skid Row and a Poison.
I
It's
definitely hear Skid Row in this. The first
yeah,
Skid Row. Yep.
yep,
I don't hear Poison so much. That's a little lightweight, but I get where you're going with this.
yeah. I just
I
mean
was
it.
I
I
was
don't mean
hearing more. I was hearing more Dokken for me.
yeah, but at that point, Dawkins sounded like Poison. So
Well, that's a good point. Because actually, when did the solo Don album come out?
I don't know. I haven't heard that record. Somebody told me to check that
Oh,
record out.
dude, you
I know.
gotta get on that record. It's the best Dokken record they ever didn't put out.
Really?
It's killer. Oh my god, man! It's John Norum, Billy White from Watchtower,
Oh wow.
Mickey D, and Peter Baltz from Accept. Dude, it's a killer album. Don was saving a lot of his best tracks for that album around that time. There's no doubt. Yeah, it's killer. Don't even hesitate to get that if you're out and you see it on album,
All right.
anywhere. Yeah, you'll thank me. Trust me. Um, yeah, I don't. Child of the City's pretty good intro. It's got a cool it's got a what do I have in here? It says it's got a little bit of a when the lights go down rip off bit to it. It sounds like what when the lights go down. Troublemaker was in Hellraiser 3, by the way. I didn't know that, but I haven't seen that one. So
That
has
one
anyone
sucked.
seen Hellraiser 3 or does that one suck? I don't.
That's
Um
when they started adding in all these weird Cenobites, like this like CD head guy that shot CDs out of his
oh
head.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. So not a bad song, just has that kind of Mutt Lang vocal thing going on. It's over. Huge chorus, large vocals, sounds good, but not very filling. That's what I put. Edge of Excess, not a bad track, has a Whitesnake vibe. Turn My Back on Love, very It's Not Love. That song reminds me of It's Not Love with the riffy section. Vocals are good, huge chanty choruses, man. They just all these songs have that. Riding High again, heavy standard. Wait, heavy shouted chorus, Def Leppard style. Probably the best song on the album, other than the intro two tracks. Black Sheep's like a bluesy track that, you know what it is? It's their Way Cool Junior on this album because it's got that
Yeah,
Way
I
Cool
can see
Junior
that.
side. Boys Night Out, good lyric with a fucking title like that. Do you even need to lyrics? Ugh, average song. Again, Gil is killer singer and drummer, but he's not a great songwriter. What's this one? Somewhere Tonight, nice ballad, great playing by Phil X. but again, less filling. Loving a, what's this one say? Oh, loving a, what's the last song? Loving a minute? Is that right? That's AC/DC Triumph. It's the beginning to fucking, what's the song? Shit. Ballbreaker or I don't know. It's every AC/DC song sounds the same to me, anyways. Too much mediocre Doc and light worship on this album. This kind of hard rock was dead by this time. In the early '90s, obviously,
Yeah.
fucking, you had Alice in Chains, you had Soundgarden, way fucking heavier bands, way better bands at that point. Um, I hate to say it, but they probably Mike Levine admitted they should have called the band something else, but it's just like Tony Iommi going solo, and the record company said, yeah, we need to put Black Sabbath on there somewhere to sell albums." This is not a terrible album, but it's a 6 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
Would I buy? Would I buy if I found it in a cutout bin? Absolutely. Would I go looking for it for more than $5 or $6? No way.
Yeah, I think I'm right with you on 6 out of 10 for myself as well. If I saw it, I definitely buy it. It's something. I mean, but I'm a Triumph fan, so I'm just gonna buy it if I
You
see
wanna
it.
you wanna be a completist, right?
Yeah,
We
I mean,
for certain.
it's not a
So
bad album though. It's not like
no,
something I
I
wouldn't
agree.
listen to. So
I
that's
agree.
what I mean by it's still good. It's not like, oh god, this is fucking horrible. Like
So
it's not like they completely like you don't hear what they originated from, I guess. um you can still hear those, and it still has, like, I mean, you can still hear some heart. Like I said, I like this better than the last record. I feel like
oh,
it
I remembered something real quick, not to interrupt. Ron Nevinson for Sport of Kings, his big album, and it was huge, was that Heart album when they came back and they had like
um
looks if looks could kill and never and what was the big song on there? Whoa, whoa. Oh, I guess that's never. What was the other big song on there?
on heart.
Yeah, just the album that was just Heart, the one where they were
Oh,
all made up and
I don't remember.
if looks could kill, you'd be dying on the floor, begging, please, please, baby, don't hurt me no more. I can't sing like Ann, obviously, but yeah, he did that album. That was the big album for him. So yeah, I mean this the last three albums of theirs are they essential? No. For me, the critical period is just a game. Um,
Yeah,
Progressions, Allied. Even though Progressions is probably my least favorite in that bunch. Allied, Never Surrender, Thunder Seven. There's a 4 or 5 album span there where they got it all right, and
yeah,
they were huge and they were a great band. We should mention that after Rick left, there was a lot of hard feelings, a lot of animosity between the band members because Rick kind of left them hanging. They were right on that edge of like the record company was about to give him a whole bunch of money to do a follow up to Surveillance, and he just like, I'm out of here. I don't like this album. I don't like the direction the band's going.
yeah,
And they really hardly played any live shows for Surveillance, and then I don't think they played any live shows that I'm aware of for Edge of Excess. I'd have to look deeper into that. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. But they did reform. Well, they reformed in 2009. Yeah, 2009 because Sweden Rock invited them to headline Sweden Rock, which is a big outdoor festival. They went over and they did two shows. They did Sweden Rock in, I believe it was May or June. Um and then they came over and did Rocklahoma, which I don't think is around anymore. Maybe it is, but I don't know. I'd have to ask Eddie Trunk. He's always there. But anyway, uh, yeah, they did Rocklahoma in July of 2009, and everybody thought, "Oh yes, it's gonna happen. There's gonna be a world tour with Triumph," and I was stoked. I'm like, "Yeah, man, I know they're not gonna be quite like they were in the '80s, but who cares, man? I want to see Rick still sounds great and Gil sounds pretty good, and man, this I saw the Sweden Rock stuff, which you can buy the live CD or DVD, but you can also find it out on YouTube everywhere, like the US Festival." And man, nothing happened. Nothing happened. It just didn't happen. Didn't happen. Then they got inducted into the I think they got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in um 2009 or 10. And they, there was a lot of talk about maybe there'll be a tour, maybe there'll be a new record. It just never happened. And let's be honest, Gil owns Metalworks. As far as I know, he solely owns it. I don't think the other two guys are involved. That studio is a multi million dollar studio. Gil is the president. I'm thinking he's living pretty large. In the documentary, he drives up in a giant Escalade, not the normal Escalade, like the big one with the extended back end on it. So he ain't hurting. However, in 2019, when Banger Films just started shooting this documentary, the very final thing was they invited 300 like diehards. Where they got this from, I don't know if they got them on the website or Facebook or where all these people. I didn't know about it, or I would have fucking put my name in the ringer for sure because I'd have definitely drove up there back then in 19. I was well enough to do it back then. Long story short, 300 super fans got to go and look at all this memorabilia. They brought them up to Metalworks, right? And the big reveal was at the end they got them all in this like concert hall, small concert hall, right? 300 people, right? And they're going to watch a video thank you from the guys.
Yeah.
But guess what? That's not what they did. They played the curtain came down at the end of the video of thank yous, and there were the three guys, and they played three songs. They played Magic Power. I think they did Lights Come Down, and I forget the other damn track. Lay It on the Line, I think it was. And they played their first gig as in since fucking 2009, a decade. And they did this, and people were fucking some of the guys and the girls in the audience are just fucking they're in tears. I don't know if I'd have gone that far, but I'd have been pretty fucking stoked.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Because I didn't get to see him back in the day. And man, that's one of the ones that got away from me that I wish I could have, wish I would have. But if I'd have shut my mouth, I would have been able to see him. But
Yeah.
mom put the kibosh on that. So, um, yeah, man, fucking killer band that everybody should know. Metalheads, rockers, hard rockers. If you like some good poppy hard rock, man, there's a little element of that. If you like Dokken, you should like Triumph. They're kind of like a slightly less hair glammy version of Dokken in a lot of ways. What do you got to say, Dennis? What do you want to wrap up with?
Yeah, for me, I think it's a band that's very underrated, a band that doesn't get enough love as far as especially their early stuff.
Yeah,
Uh, I think it's a band that kind of it started and it kind of grew, and the songwriting grew, and I feel like it grew to like a certain proportion to where they could not. I don't think they could go very far from where they were as far as after Never Surrender. It was like, what are you gonna do next? It didn't. It's like one of those records where you've already like reached your like the apex of where they're going to be. There's not much they can do after that as far as like be a
you
different
know,
band. It's
you
kind of
know
like I
though,
mean you have all
but
these other bands that come out and they're going to release like four or five great records and then they just kind of release records that almost sound the same or they tweak it
right,
a little bit or the record companies get involved and they totally change their style. And I felt like after Never Surrender, it just pretty much they changed the record company said, "Hey, we want you to sound like Def Leppard and Whitesnake and all these other bands that sell more records." And
right,
at that point, they kind of lost what they had. I mean, they still wrote great songs. I'm not trying to like come down on anything they wrote
sure,
after that. I
no,
just
no.
feel like at that point, there's a point where you just lose that creativity because you don't have to have.
Some of the
Yeah,
magic's not there.
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So you just
Although Although, Dennis, I would say Rush kind of got in that rut, sort of like around the Roll the Bones, Test for
yeah,
Echo, but they closed on one of their best albums ever. I mean, that Clockwork Angels is fucking killer. But they did put out a lot of albums in there, maybe four or five that are like, eh. Where I was
Right.
struggling as a
Yeah.
monster fan of Rush, I was struggling to get through an album of some
But
of their stuff.
like you said, like that means that Triumph could get back together and put out another good album if they
They
really
could,
wanted.
they could. I
So
don't think it's going to happen. It doesn't
probably
feel
not
like
gonna
it's ever going to
happen. But
happen. No.
I'm just saying they could still if everybody stayed out of what they were doing and they put together a record that they want to put out and everybody was on board, I'm sure they could put out a good album again.
Yeah, that's
But
good. That's a good point.
I don't know if they really have to. That's the thing.
No, they don't. None of those guys need money. They're all very wealthy. And I mean, let's be honest at this point. Mike Levine's 73. Rick is
Yeah.
69. Gil doesn't have a birth date, and I think he's probably in that late 60s. I think he might be, I think he might actually be 70. I mean, they're not young men, and that's not to say that they can't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, fucking Jagger and Keith Richards are still out there, crazily enough. Of course, they only play like, 5 concerts and they play massive stadiums and they have massive organizations. But, dude, I mean, given my circumstances with my health, I would say this much. If Triumph got back together and went out on tour, I'd do everything in my power to go see them.
Yeah.
That's how much they mean to me. This is a band that means a lot to me nostalgically. Yes, Rush is my favorite band, and I love Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush, another Canadian legendary band. I love Voivod, but this is probably my second favorite Canadian band. I just love this band, man. I just, they encompassed everything: prog, hard rock, blues, some acousticy stuff in there, folky stuff. They just did fucking killer stuff for.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. There was some, by the time Thunder 7 passed, they were starting to morph into something that was not as inspired. And they, it kind of showed in the writing and the lack of desire to stay together anymore. But this is a killer band, and I recommend, like you said, Allied Forces be a great starting point. Never Surrender is a great starting point. Just the Game's my favorite, 3-song album because I love those 3 songs. They're so good. The early albums, we said buy it for just those big epic tracks because they're killer.
Yeah.
Real quick before we wrap up here, and by the way, there will be a post stream for anybody that wants to jump in after I get a drink and take a piss. But so you and I are gonna try to fit in a back. What I wanted to come up with a cool name from it for it. Like a back for the attack '80s episode. Okay,
Yeah.
and we want to talk about Aldo Nova and Zebra, 2 bands that both their debut albums were massive,
Yeah.
massive successes. And then following that, the albums weren't as good, but there's still some good stuff in there.
Yep.
Some very good stuff in there. Especially the third album by Zebra is fucking really good.
Yeah. That's a good album.
And the second album by Aldo Nova, I love, even though it's kind of short on songs. I think it's only like fucking 28 minutes or 32 minutes or something crazy. But man, I love songs like Hold Back the Night and what's the one Monkey.
Shock the
Got
monkey.
him.
Well, not shock the monkey.
No, is it
Monkey.
Monkey
Monkey
on
on
your
my
back?
back. Or
Monkey on your
monkey on my
back,
back.
yeah.
Yeah.
Got the monkey, dirty
That's a great.
monkey on your back. So good, man. And then it's got that fucking ballad that what's it called? Something of a broken heart.
Yeah, man. That's a good song.
Victim of a broken heart, dude. I cannot tell you how many times I listened to that song on the verge of tears because some chick blew me off for some other dude. Like I was like every good looking girl in high school's favorite guy to hang out with because all my friends were the jocks and the cool guys, and they were using me to get to my friends. That happened and so I just throw on Victim of a Broken Heart and sit there and fucking wallow in my misery and probably go jerk off to porn or something like that. I don't know. But anyway. Um,
You
yeah,
mean
man. So
Hustler? They didn't have porn back then.
they had my old man had those Swedish erotica magazines, dude. He was
Oh
like,
shit,
oh
dude.
yeah, he was rocking the hardcore stuff. Anyway, so we're gonna try to do the Aldo Nova
Zebra.
Zebra tandem thing, which will be kind of fun, I think.
And then
When I'm
after
not
that, YNT.
well, now we talked about YNT. I don't know. Could we add them in, or would that be too much? Might be too
Oh,
much.
that's too much. That's probably like what? No, maybe not. It's only like 4 records, 4 or 5
Well,
records.
there's 4 great ones.
Yeah.
Because look, Zebra has 4 albums. The last one isn't much to talk about. Second
Yeah.
one's good, but it's not much to talk about. Third one's great.
I only have 1 and 3. I don't have the second
Okay,
Zebra.
I have the second one. I have all the Zebra. I do not have. I only have for Aldo. I only have the first one and the third one, which is called Twitch, I believe. I do not have Blood on the Bricks, and I do not have Subject, but I am going to look to get Subject.
Yeah, I have
Shh,
Subject,
don't
and
tell anyone.
I have the first one, Subject, Twitch.
That's the real poppy one, Twitch. That there's a
Yeah,
couple
that's the
songs
one.
on it, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Um, I will say this: I don't know if you looked at Aldo's discography, but he's actually put a couple albums out post Blood on the
Has he?
Bricks. I'm not sure about
Yeah.
those.
I wanna have you checked them
Yeah,
out?
no, I'm not. So we'll have to dig into that a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, Y and T is going to be too much if we try to
Yeah.
bite that off. So, but that would
But
be another
I think
one here.
Y&T needs some love because they don't
Well,
get enough.
here's another idea. How about we do Y&T with another 80s band that needs some
Okay.
love? So you come back at me. Let's put together 3 bands we think need some love from the 80s that don't get talked about. Not your Quiet Riots, not your fucking Dawkins, not
Yeah. Yeah.
Rat. Those bands all got enough love back in the day. We got to find one that's a little bit more
Yep.
like Y&T that's not on the tip, you know. I
Yep.
will say I have one that I think should go in there, but they only have
Oh,
2 albums. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I fucking love both these albums to death. Here's
what is it?
here's one I was thinking about. Badlands is one, but that's not who I was
Okay.
thinking of. But that could be one. Stone Fury. Do you know Stone Fury?
I know Stone Fury. I don't have
Yep,
any Stone Fury though.
I got them both, dude. Burns Like a Star and Let Them Talk. And there is night and day difference between those albums. I'm thinking we ought to do Stone Fury because that first
I
album
mean,
fucking rips.
we could always add in Icon because
Oh, oh, how did I forget Icon? Okay, Icon it is. Icon it
you
is
know,
with Y&T, man.
yeah.
And maybe we'll throw the 2 Stone Furies in there
All
at the
right.
tail end. So kick that around.
All
I'll
right.
get with you outside of that. Let's see. Let's see. Anything else to tie up here? Tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, I am going to be doing Emperor's catalog with Devin from Maze of Torment and Tyler from AK Berg Wanderers IG page. We're doing the 4 albums, and think I don't know if we're doing all the EPs, but we're definitely doing the two because a lot of the stuff on the EPs ended up on albums or it ended up other places. So we'll check those out. That's at 4 p.m. tomorrow. A little sneak peek here of something. Now I probably jinxing myself, but Dennis is going to be joining me for a very special stream coming up towards the end of the month. I'm not going to say when it is. I'm not going to say who's going to be with us, but let's put it this way. If you here's a little hint. Here's a little hint. This person might be responsible for something that is twisted into evil. Think about that a little bit. Twisted into evil. And what's going to happen is there's going to be an interview with this person, I hope. And I think it's all but done. I think it's all locked in. And we're going to actually rank this person's band's catalog. And man, it's a banger of 5 albums that we're going to get into. And that person is going to help us review his own albums and talk about studio stuff and all kind of cool shit like that. Um, Gonna have Nick from Thralls along with us, and Dennis from Analog are gonna join us as well. And one other thing to note, and this one is definitely happening. I don't have a day for it yet, but it looks like next Friday. It looks like I'm gonna have an interview with Don Anderson from Agalock, which is gonna be super fucking cool. Really, really neat guy. It's going to be in the middle of the afternoon, probably like 1 o'clock, I think, on next Friday. So Don Anderson from Agalock, and I've got the irons in the fire to interview a couple other people. One I'm really hoping I get is relative to the stream we did last Monday and Gorgut. So I'm hoping to drop some info on that at some point soon. So, Dennis, man, I'm so stoked that you did this with me, dude, because nobody else would have done it. Only Rick would have really known the catalog really well. None of my other buddies on YouTube know this catalog all that well.
Yeah.
And dude, everybody needs a little triumph in their life, I think.
Oh yeah. You need more than a little. You need a
Well,
lot of triumph.
I would say you need at least 4 albums of
Yep.
triumph in your life, at least.
At
So
least those 4.
this is badass. I'll have some information. Dennis and I will try to connect on when we can get these blast from the past 80s sessions. That's what I'm
Yeah.
gonna call it. Blast from the past 80s sessions. And
Hell
we're
yeah.
gonna do some of these tandem bands with just small, smaller catalogs. But come on, man. Life is just a fantasy. Can you live this fantasy life? Anyways, man, I mean, that's going to kick ass because I love
Yeah.
me some Aldo. And
Hell yeah.
Zebra, man, I'm not even going to go near Randy Jackson's voice. Who's behind the
Oh,
door? No way. I can't go near it. Anyways, Dennis, super cool having you on, man. I love the fact that you don't mind me singing, even though my singing sucks. And this was a killer episode. I'm just so stoked about it, man. Happy to
yeah.
have
Hell
this
yeah.
one in the books. All right, bro. I'm gonna dip out. If you want, let me know if you want to join us a little later. I'll drop the link on you.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
thank you for jumping in here really quick after your dinner. I'm
Nah,
sorry.
no
We
problem.
now I know you're 3 hours behind, so I won't make that mistake again. Now, I really thought you were 2 hours. I don't know.
Nah, I know. So did I. I was like, wait,
Well,
what?
let me ask you a question though. Is Vegas 2 hours behind or not?
No, I think that's got to be 3 too.
Because
Everything's got to be 3.
I could swear Phil was always 2 hours. Okay. I just goofed on that. I thought for some reason you were further, Jacob's only 2 hours. He's in Salt Lake
Okay.
City, so he must be a little further east
Yeah,
than.
he's further from me.
Okay. All right. But, anyways, this is killer, man. Rick, Kevin, Logan, thanks, guys. I'm going to fire up the other stream if you want to start jumping in. I'll probably let guys in, and I'm going to grab a bite to eat. And Dennis, I'll fire you the link then.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna go take a piss and get
All
something
right,
to eat.
brother. All right,
All
man.
right,
So you guys rock on, roll out, rock on, roll out. Thank
all
you
right.
for
Thanks,
joining
man.
us tonight. We'll see you on the follow stream. See ya.
Sounds good.
Peace out.